welcome back to Lorehammer. I am your host, Eric.
Hey, and I'm your other host, Mark.
And joining us today, the man we said would never be back. We lied to you.
Yet again.
As we always seem to do.
Almost like we lie to many people every episode. Thousands let down.
We should almost say that, like, have a disclaimer on our show where nothing in this show is to be considered factual.
Even the facts that we are doing, the episode notes, still not factual.
No. Yeah, of course.
We cannot be held liable.
Right.
For legal reasons, of course.
Our Lorehammer legal team has told us that we should protect ourselves in that way. But Christian, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's been a minute, actually.
Yeah,
since
it's been a little while.
Do you remember the last one?
I don't even remember the last episode I was on now.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Some friend you are. I remember. Do you guys remember?
I scrub my memory of
after every episode.
After every episode with Christian. Because that way I can always tell myself this is the last one that he's on.
Remember.
Just in case you guys didn't know, this will be Christian's last episode.
Yes, of course.
On the podcast.
Yes. Sweet. Well, what an episode to leave us on, Christian. Black Legion.
Wow. Yeah. You just wanted to get in a really big episode.
Yeah, just the last hurrah, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, this episode is going to be about all things Black Legion. We're going to dive into a little bit of their history. We're going to talk about their culture. Some of the things they're known for.
We're going to find out why they call them the Black Legion.
Whoa.
Paint schemes, believe it or not. That's the way they paint their armor.
You know, I don't believe it.
And I do have another fun fact about that, but I will share it later. So stay tuned for more paint scheme fun facts.
Quivering in anticipation. But before we actually get into the episode itself, we got a couple things we want to take care of. Some things you, as the listener, should be aware of, actually.
Things, yeah. First up, we are doing more events on our Discord, and we really want to try to push these things. Come join us. They're so much fun. So on Wednesday, May 19th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be on our Discord in a group chat or whatever, and we're going to be watching the movie Hell's Reach together.
So that's the one by Richard Boylan?
Yeah, something like that. It's yeah. It's a 2.5 hour movie. We'll probably break it down into 2 parts, but yeah, that's my plan. We're going to watch that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to cry. You know
Very
how it goes.
cool.
Will there be popcorn?
Yeah, well, I can't.
It's BYOP, obviously.
Bring your own popcorn.
But yeah, once again, that's Wednesday, May 19th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come hang out with me. It'll be awesome.
And then actually a couple days before that, on the Sunday, May 16th, I'm going to be hosting a painting event. Where I'm actually going to break my dusty paintbrushes out for the first time in 10 years.
So there's going to be a lot of ceremony, lots of
yes, there will be chanting in the background.
Cherubs flying around.
Get my oils out and anoint everything. Yeah. Light the candles.
This is why you never paint anything. It just takes too long.
Hours to get ready. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that May 16th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on our Discord. Obviously we want you guys to come and hang out and join us, but that's not the only reason you should be on our Discord, especially if you're a Patreon member.
Yeah, we also do contests, so come join contests this month. I don't even know.
I think they're doing heroes.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah, so everyone is kind of showing off their kind of centerpiece heroic models that they've put together and painted. I've seen a Bellicor up there already.
A new one or an old?
Yeah, the new one.
The new one.
Which is amazing, first of all. I love that model.
It's a beautiful model.
I've seen a knight command, like an Imperial Knight up there. It's
the only kind of character for me.
I've seen an Elysian drop troop commander up there. So there's some cool stuff, but you can only participate in our contests if you are a Patreon member.
Yeah.
But you have the chance to win $50.
Yeah.
Which is going in Games Workshop gift cards.
Yeah, perfect.
Because we think you should spend your money back into the hobby.
Exactly.
Forget your groceries.
That's right. Well, you probably shouldn't fund your groceries from our painting
contests.
Probably
it's
not.
my only
I'm
income.
Really short this month. I'm really short this month. I really need to win this contest. But yeah, you should definitely hang out and join us and participate in those.
Yeah. And here's my plea for Patreon. Go join our Patreon. We're about to get into a huge fucking Black Legion episode. If you get any enjoyment out of it, even a minute, go donate $1 to us. It really helps us a lot to do the show and,
it really does.
Buy hookers and blow. So,
wait, what do you spend your money on? I thought we were buying groceries with that money.
Hold on, your legal department's contacting us.
Yes. Oh no, we can't buy hookers. Oh, we shouldn't even talk about it.
oh. Well, either way, I still want your Patreon money. So seriously, if you can spare the money, I know times are tough. It's whatever. You've all heard the spiel. One final thing, then we're gonna jump into the episode. Let's talk Lorehammer. That's our community podcast that
Put on by Dylan and Matt.
Yeah, and this week on their episode, they're going to be talking about kick-ass kill teams. So listeners have submitted a bunch of kill teams, and I'm sure there's images and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, they're going to talk about stories and army lists and how they would play out and what the mission of their kill team is.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that is built around the kill team they're going to talk about. And then I believe, but don't quote me on this one, I think they might even try and pit
two kill teams.
Metaphorically pit these kill teams against
Yes,
each other and
perfect.
see which one they think would win.
Yeah.
So,
Which has real life consequences for the people who submitted them.
If
so
you
make sure your
lose-
kill team is up to snuff.
Yeah, if you lose this battle, you will get banned and booted from our Discord server. So you better write some pretty epic stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, with all that being said, let's start our Black Legion episode.
Ooh, yes. So before we dive in, we're going to just give a little Lorehammer disclaimer here. So there's enough information on the Luna Wolves and the Sons of Horus for like a 5-hour-long episode. And Minimum. So instead of exhausting ourselves with that, we're going to do an overview of the history of the Luna Wolves and the Sons of Horus. And then our focus is going to be on the Black Legion. So we're primarily talking about the Black Legion as the Black Legion and not as the Luna Wolves and then the Sons of Horus. So if you're if you're at the keyboard waiting to send me that email,
Why didn't you mention?
Yeah.
Why did you miss the Battle of Ulanor?
Yeah, exactly. Just take a step back, take a breath, and remember, soon TM, we will do those episodes. So,
And if anyone knows what that means, it means it's not happening soon.
soon is relative,
Well, I guess the best place to start talking about any legion really is at the beginning. Ooh. So the first topic we're going to cover is the founding of the 16th Legion. So the 16th Legion traces its roots to one of the original 20 legions created en masse in the Gene Vaults upon Luna. Their Terran stock was primarily taken from known hunter clans Jutragan Bowl and the Samsatian subplate slums, both geographical areas upon Terra itself.
Cool.
Both these clans were remarked as having a ruthless, independent character and traits that live and are, even celebrated in the Legion to this day.
Yeah.
Their gene sire was none other than Horus, who the Luna Wolves affectionately called Horus Lupercal once he was discovered on the planet Chthoniya. After Horus was given command of the 16th Legion, the Emperor changed their name to the Luna Wolves in recognition of their military actions during the first pacification of Luna.
Cool.
Which obviously we're not going to talk about now, but it's a whole cool battle.
Yeah.
There's the gene cults on Luna.
The gene witches or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The Selenar cults. There's a lot of cool information in history about kind of humanity's expansion, or the Imperium's really expansion back into grasping Luna and bringing them into the fold. So, but we're not going to talk about it here.
Yeah.
When command shifted to Horus, he would move the legions homeworld to Chthoniya, and would use their population to bolster the ranks of his army now.
Cool. Yeah, so he I lost where I was going to read. Never mind. Thanks for coming.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on to the next point.
Yeah, so obviously in the exact same way that every other legion was created, they started on Terra.
Yeah.
And then as soon as their Primarch was found, he's given command of their army. And normally that involved like a name change or a subtle shift in character or personality.
Culture.
Culture, introducing things that the Primarch brought with them.
Yeah.
So
Do we know if the 16th Legion had a name before the Luna Wolves?
I didn't see anything.
Me either. I did see, though, just going through these notes and stuff, I did learn that the White Scars, they're called the Star Hunters.
Interesting. I had never heard that.
Yeah.
A lot of the Legion names had names before their Primarchs were found that are different than post.
My bet is going to be that the Luna Wolves actually didn't have one, and this is just a bet. It might be wrong, but so Chthoniya, we'll get into it actually, but it's very close to Earth. So Horus was found really fast.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't even have time to earn a name or given one. All I ever see mentioned about them was the 16th Legion, and because their name was given to themselves after the first pacification of Luna.
Yeah.
Like, that was even before
They
guess
really
that
went on the Great
started.
Crusade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
fair
they
enough.
probably got that name
Pretty much
very
right.
fast.
because they conquered Luna.
Yeah.
Luna wolves.
Just in case you wanted to know,
I get it now.
the Selenar
Where did the wolves
cults,
part come from?
They were
Oh.
famously called that. They said, "Call off your wolves." To the Luna wolves when they were the 16th Legion when they were assaulting Luna, and so it's from that moniker that the whole idea of Luna wolves came into the idea.
Now we know.
Yeah, the more you know.
I love a good etymology of a name, you know?
Really fleshed out the history.
Really fleshes it out.
So that's kind of the founding of the 16th Legion. Why don't we?
Yeah, it's pretty standard, as with every other legion, really.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then after that, the Luna wolves carry on with the Great Crusade. So Horus being the first Primarch that they found during the Great Crusade, and Chthoniya, like you said, is close to Terra. Conventional spacecraft could voyage there without the need of full warp jumps. So
Yeah, there's even
Yeah.
talks of people journeying from Chthoniya to Terra before the Great Crusade even started. Like it's almost like they had a very close relationship.
with Earth.
Yeah.
I wonder too if, because of their proximity, like in real life, if there's an equivalent.
Like Alpha Centauri is
Yeah,
our
like
closest
is there
star.
really a place where they would
They base
theoretically
Chthoniya on?
right?
I wonder, yeah. I mean,
You see that planet over there with the hive slums and I forget what
we
other
own
way.
everything the light touches, my son. What about that planet, Dad? But yeah, it's even when you think about it though, like conventional engines themselves, it would still take
A long time.
years
Yeah.
and years to travel to it. So I was
We always talk about that. The nearest one's like 7 light years away or something. It's
Something,
a
yeah.
long ways away.
far.
Yeah.
So we kind of hypothesized that even maybe a full warp jump wasn't required to go from star to star, but maybe they kind of did something like warp skipping, how
Sure.
the tower are described to traverse their FTL.
Yeah.
And maybe they just suck it up too and take 7 years.
Yeah,
Get
maybe they just
there.
have these massive colonial ships. Is that what they call them?
sure.
Generational ships or
Ooh,
whatever.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and anything's possible in 40K. I suppose.
True.
Yeah. I do like that idea because it's almost like in real world when they found the New World and how those voyages across the ocean would take a long time, and you kind of gear up
You
for it.
effectively abandon everything previously. Like you're never going to see your family again. You're never even going to be able to talk to them again.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
But you're exploring the reaches of the galaxy.
Exactly.
So it's worth it. Anyways, since it would be many years before another Primarch would be found, Horus and the Emperor developed a very strong connection. This relationship between the two of them was much more akin to father and son than any other Primarchs would experience. And they spent about 30 years together and essentially laid out the framework that would become the Imperium.
yeah, they kind of like set the stones with each other.
Yeah.
And I kind of can't stress enough like the strength of the bond that was between Horus and the Emperor was so much stronger than he had with any of his other quote unquote sons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just had the most time to cultivate that relationship with them. too.
Yeah, it said he like shared battle tactics and like wisdom to him. So it was really like a real relationship that he had.
Yeah.
Unlike me and my father.
Go on. So I think we talked about this on our last listener lore, just about time and how a Terran year is actually 1,000 days.
Right.
So now I'm just going back and reading all these timelines, and I'm like, that 30 years
Recalibrating
is
them.
now maybe 90 years that the Horus Emperor spent together conquering the galaxy.
Right, yeah. 90 of our years.
90
yeah.
of our years, yeah. And yeah, it really, yeah, I don't know
It
if that's
kinda
actually
shifts
it.
it.
It really does. Like, that's the thing. They still might be using a standard 365
Yeah.
day year when doing this. It might be also 1,000 days.
A lot of the times, I think if we were to go back and reevaluate the time frames and shift everything into that 1,000 day period, I think things would make a lot more sense for us. But it also would like now all of a sudden the Horus heresy isn't, or the what was the Horus heresy, like 7 years?
Yeah,
it's
something
not
like
7
that.
years
Yeah.
anymore. It's more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
Which makes
Right,
sense for a
so-
galaxy spanning conflict.
Yeah. So things really kind of get put into perspective if you adopt that difference in time.
Yeah. Also, even the idea like Primarchs, they don't live normal humans timelines, right? So 90 years for Primarch, he's not like an old man after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
right?
No,
Like,
they're-
he's just
I mean,
as
they're immortal,
viral
right?
as when he was 20, right? Which we could all hope to be.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I'm failing already.
Oh no.
Flag
Poor knees. But since the Luna Wolves received their Primarch almost instantly and fought alongside the Emperor for many years, they saw themselves as the example of what all legions should strive for. Sounds kind of ultramarine-y if you ask me. Their combat records were greater than any other legion at the time, and the early years of the Great Crusade are littered with glories and accolades earned by the savage Luna Wolves. Easy to do when you have a head start. I just want to
I mean, they really did.
And the Emperor.
Yeah, they really did have a head start on like anyone else in terms of like earning their identity and like building that reputation for themselves. I mean, their reputation started on Luna.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So right away.
Yeah.
still pales in comparison to the first, but
Assuming you're talking about the Dark Angels?
yes.
That secret chapter that nobody knows anything about?
That will be on an episode. next
Soon.
next week, actually. No, I'm just kidding.
Soon, TM.
Join us to derobe the Dark Angels. Learn about their secrets.
I like that.
Yeah.
We're using
Would
that.
be the theme for it.
What's
full
behind
frontal.
this chapter master's robe?
Plasma pistol.
Why is it always plasma pistols and swords?
It's shooting hot plasma now. I love it.
Back on track. Eventually, the
Stay on
emperor.
target.
Eventually, the emperor would receive word that another of his sons had been found, and left Horus and the Luna Wolves in charge of a large portion of the imperial force. Horus excelled even as a commander of forces other than his Astartes, and his ability would be eventually given the title of Warmaster.
Yeah, very cool. He's the first Warmaster
Yes.
of the Imperium.
Other than the Emperor, of course.
Did he ever actually?
I don't
have
think
that
he ever
title?
gives it to
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he technically was. He had all the
The
responsibilities.
Emperor's not a warring guy. He's
He's a
peaceful.
lover.
Knight or not a
He's a lover,
fighter.
not a fighter.
Yeah.
How many more lies can we spread about him? The Emperor never killed nobody.
Exactly. That's why we put the disclaimer at the end about facts. That's right. You've covered it. Don't email us. Yeah, so after the Great Crusade, after they've conquered pretty much the entire galaxy at that point, we go into the next part, the Sons of Horus and the Horus heresy. With his new title of Warmaster, Horus would change the name of the Legion to the Sons of Horus to affirm to the entire galaxy, or Imperium, that the role he and his Legion played in conquering the galaxy. Their iconography would also be changed to the Eye of Horus.
There's actually like a whole thing about changing their name.
Yeah.
I think it was initially when the Emperor gave Horus the title of Warmaster, he suggested to Horus that they change their name, and Horus was like, no, we are the Luna Wolves, that's our heritage, that's where...
It's our brand.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would we change?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a little while after...
That one,
Saying-
he's seen that nice teal green
That's
Sons
right.
of Horus color scheme.
He saw the
that
eye, and he's like, man, that
Fine.
would look
That would look good.
That would look good.
Yeah, it wasn't until Sanguinius came and approached him and said, look, if you think that you're not getting like the respect that you deserve, or your Legion, even themselves, they feel like they're not getting it, but they're never going to tell you that, so he said, you need to change your name to the Sons of Horus, not only for yourself, but for your Legion's sake,
Yeah,
really.
there was a little bit of animosity between some of the other legions that got passed over for Warmaster
Absolutely,
or Primarch,
yeah.
so it created a little bit of tension. So Horus had to assert himself in his
Right.
position.
Yes, these are my sons. I am the Warmaster.
Yeah.
Like, I am leading the Great Crusade.
Yeah.
So.
As Horus continued the work of the Great Crusade, he began to participate in the local customs of independent human planets that would be brought back into the Imperium. It was after encountering the planet Davin that the warrior lodges began to strongly infiltrate into the ranks of the Sons of Horus Legion. Warrior lodges technically were already a thing, but after Davin, it seemed like Horus almost welcomed his Legion to participate in these secret clubs. And like these clubs were kind of like tests of fealty. You do things to get into the club. You make sure that like only people. It's a very exclusive club.
It was exclusive, but first of all, people love exclusivity. They love the fact that they think that they have some access to something that someone else doesn't.
Sure.
But another thing was really important in these clubs was the lack of rank.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, a captain wasn't a captain in these clubs. You
Yeah.
could talk to him as if he was your brother. Because normally you never approach Captain Ezekiel Abaddon
Yeah.
to tell him, like, the problems that you're having in his company. You would never do that.
Yeah.
But in a warrior lodge, you kind of felt that freedom to do it. And
They really gave you that space to speak your mind.
I mean,
Weird.
yeah, like I think the idea of the
Yeah.
warrior lodge is a really like beneficial thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like as chaos does, it does what the chaos do.
Oh.
you know?
And it corrupts. Are we starting a warrior lodge? Can we?
Yeah, we definitely
Is this
can.
not already a warrior lodge?
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a lodge. I don't know about warrior.
It's a podcasting lodge.
People on our Discord already want us to fight in gladiatorial pits against lions. they've
Oh
been
yes,
saying. Yeah, so
mountain lions, pumas. I believe Christian is going to be the first.
I will
one
be
to
the first. I volunteer.
Also, 8-year-old children is going to be another thing you'll have to pit yourself against Christian.
I think I can do it. I think I can pull it off.
Is it? Can you now when you know that these children are actually closer to 25 years old?
yeah. Uh-oh.
And there's, I believe your correct words were hundreds of them.
75.
Of course. It was after Horus's second visit to Davin, where he was healed of an infected knife wound, that chaos began to rear its sinister head. After his healing, many sons of Horus remarked that his character had changed.
If you're familiar with the Horus heresy at all,
Yeah.
you'll know that the time spent in this serpent lodge where he was healed was pretty much like his first steps taken into the realm of chaos.
Yeah, he was talking to a demon there that was disguised as a friend, but it was still a demon.
Yeah, and part of that might be at the Emperor's feet. Maybe if he had warned his son about these dangers, he would have been able to see past the lies for what they were. So, I mean, it's really easy to ascribe blame, especially when you're sitting in the armchair a couple thousand years
Here's
away
one.
from it. So.
Into the future.
Yeah. But that's definitely the moment when, like, the idea of lodges, like, he already was welcoming them, and so to be taken into a serpent lodge, he's like, oh, it's just similar to my warrior lodge.
Yeah.
But really, there was a lie there about how it was a chaos worshipping lodge, and kind of like his willingness to deviate from the emperor's, like, no, humanity is like, we're the right way, you shouldn't accept other people. Like, that willingness kind of made him a little more susceptible.
Yeah, and like part of it too wasn't even him. Like Horus was,
He was pretty much comatose at that point.
so like his warriors were like, yeah, like we got to do whatever we can.
Was it the Mournival that effectively made that decision? I
Yeah,
with
they were like de
Abaddon
facto
leading
commanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Abaddon was leading the charge and Loken was the primary dissenter in that whole thing.
Did you just name the two characters of the book and just?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Try to make it work.
Yeah.
One
I mean,
is
that's
for
about
and
all
one's
I
against.
know. There's also Little Horus Axamind.
Yeah, he was cool.
And Torgadon.
Yeah.
Torgadon.
Also cool.
Yeah.
That scene when he falls is just really cool. Shout out to the book where like they're so panicked because it's the first time a Primarch has been mortally wounded. So
Yeah.
it's something no one's ever
It's
seen
also
before.
the Warmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one scene where they like get him. So he's been stabbed, Horus. They get him back onto the flagship, and there's a bunch of like remembrancers like there to like take pictures of whatever. And the Space Marines come off the dropship, and they just plow through
Them. Like literally killing and maiming people just to get Horus into like the med bay.
Yeah.
Because they're just like not having it. No time for nothing.
I mean,
like they're just
in my-
single-minded.
In my humble opinion, this is the right move. Sometimes.
The people could have got out of the way. It's not like they're whipping out chainswords. And
No, yeah, they were
mowing
just
down
literally
people.
in the
Just-
way.
It's like when the boulder's coming at you, you just step left.
Yeah.
No, you run down the predetermined path.
Oh.
That's the only way. Yeah, that is a very cool scene, and that's really early on in the Horus Heresy books
Yeah.
too. You don't even have to slog through 30 books to find that scene. You're gonna find that in like
In the first 3 books.
yeah.
Yeah, very cool. When Horus announced, so yeah, he went into the warrior lodge and he was healed, but no one
Ooh,
quite-
miraculously.
So when Horus announced to his legion that they would be abandoning their oaths to the Emperor and the Imperium, the majority of the sons of Horus did not hesitate to join him. The other Astartes, those that remained loyal to the Emperor, reverted back to their old name of the Luna Wolves in iconography, only to be destroyed during the events of Istvan III.
Allegedly. Allegedly destroyed.
For the most part.
Yeah.
There were a couple that survived, but yeah, like the Luna Wolves were effectively stamped out
Yeah.
during the what do they call that moment when the brothers turned on each other?
Betrayal?
Is that betrayal with a capital B?
Yes.
The betrayal?
Yeah, the betrayal. Yeah. So effectively, like, they were purging themselves of all their people that weren't willing to play cards.
And like it goes back to like the warrior lodges. Like they would go into the warrior lodges and
That's
kinda
where they
test
started the
and-
dissenting. Like, are you willing to follow our Primarch
To whatever end?
Exactly,
Yeah.
even against maybe what the Imperium would say. Yeah, they test the waters out in these warrior lodges, induct more people into these lodges that agreed with them, and it just turned really into like a chaos-serving cult.
And the other thing they did too was also even Horus brought these warrior lodges to other legions. Well, maybe not Horus, but like with Erebus.
I think it's a tradition the Word Bearers
did a
introduced.
lot of the spreading.
Yeah. So they weren't exclusive to this.
Correct.
So there was already a network of people talking and scheming already.
Between legions, yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely fast forwarded a lot of this information. He didn't immediately go from getting healed to declaring his like betrayal.
Fealty to chaos.
But yeah, there's a lot more in between.
Well, I
that.
think I'm gonna betray the Emperor today.
Wakes up from his wound. All right, boys.
The other really cool thing too is just like, the Emperor kind of sealed his fate too, even just with naming or encouraging the Horus to rename to the Sons of Horus. Like, it's just one more step showing that like the Sons of Horus are Horus's men. Like they belong to him.
First.
Right.
First.
Yeah, it was his fault for placing so much faith in Horus without actually educating him on the dangers of what he was facing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you'll do great, my son, but never, like, don't worry about all the things that are going to try and corrupt you. Don't even worry about it. Just forget about it.
After the culmination of the Horus heresy, Horus was obliterated from existence by the... Oh, spoilers.
If you haven't finished the Horus Heresy novel series,
Because the Siege of Terror is still coming out. So Horus was obliterated from existence by the power of the Emperor after having dealt a mortal wound to the Master of Mankind. And the Sons of Horus crumpled under the knowledge that they had completely and utterly failed to destroy the Imperium.
I don't know about you guys, but old school 40K, I remember the fight between the Emperor and Horus. Obviously, it was never fully written out.
There was
it
one that
was, yeah, it was like
yeah.
Was it?
really
Yeah, man.
early on.
So am I remembering, because you know what I'm about to say, but
I'm not sure, but go on.
okay. When I used to think about the fight between Horus and the Emperor, and it talked about how the Emperor like finally gave up hope for Horus and decided to erase him. He was erased like body, soul, spirit. Everything that Horus ever was removed from existence.
Yeah.
And that's how I remember it. And is that how it's described in whatever story you guys are talking about?
Man, it's been like 10 years at least since I've read it. And it was in like... What
It was like a White Dwarf or some other side publication.
Okay, that makes sense because I don't ever remember seeing that in a book.
Yeah. It might even nowadays be in like that Horus Heresy picture book anthology collection thing. Or
I think it's called Visions.
Visions.
Yeah,
Horus
Visions
Heresy,
of Heresy.
Visions, yeah. I know sometimes they had a couple stories in there.
Yeah, I can even picture it. Like it has all the text on one side and then the image on the other side, like side by side.
Is it the classic image of like
the
fight?
old image of it.
But nowadays, his body actually remained, and it was taken and entombed on Demon World Malium or whatever. And eventually, Fabius Bile would get his gribbly little hands on it and stuff. But I must say, I liked the idea of him being obliterated from existence more so than his empty husk of a body left behind.
Yeah. And too, it shows how powerful the Emperor is too. Just like he was fucking around, and then when he made up his mind, it's like, okay, no, you're done. You're
agree,
done, Horus.
yeah.
Like this is not it.
Anything that really kind of puts the Emperor and his power level beyond the understanding of what we have, I'm a fan of. Because I think that people try to trivialize what he's capable of, and they say, well, he's on the throne, so really is he that strong? Well, he was, you motherfucker, okay?
He still is.
Yeah. But I appreciate things that do that, and it
Yeah.
feels like that kind of is... Anytime that kind of backtracks on, and it might not even have been real, it might have been my own headcanon.
Sure.
No, I vaguely remember what you're talking about too, about him being like, his soul, everything just
Everything is
obliterated.
just gone. There was no proof that he had ever existed.
Well, okay.
Besides like
hold
in
on.
people's memories and stuff.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
there's
not
no
like he was
physical,
truly-
But what if your memories were all altered? What if he never existed and you thought he did?
Is the horse heresy even real?
It's the Dornian heresy.
Now.
Yeah, but that's just a little
Dorn
tidbit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like when things are completely destroyed.
Utterly.
Utterly.
From existence.
Right, let's list other ththings that are completely and utterly destroyed and will never come back. Sanguinius,
Actually, no.
Ferris Manus.
Rokeldorn,
Conrad Cruz.
my boy.
No, there is a difference between being utterly destroyed, like your soul gone. Because
Yes.
when you die, usually your soul in 40k goes into the warp or goes somewhere, right? A soul stone, something like that. But to have horses,
Yeah, there is
like horse cannot be
beyond.
resurrected by the chaos gods. His soul can't be put into another body or
Yeah.
Yeah,
turn into a
Ibraine
demon
and
prince.
Iliad can't bring him back.
Yeah, nothing can bring him back. Which theoretically, as much as I wouldn't like this, Sanguinius, his soul is somewhere. It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah. Sure.
Christian,
It can stay there.
I want it to stay there. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's a difference.
Yeah. That's a tangent. That could be a huge tangent. I want to fight you on this, but
But we'll save it for a different episode.
we have more stuff to talk about, actually. So the point we're at now is the Emperor had struck Horus down. Horus dealt a mortal wound to the Emperor, an immortal wound, a mortal wound to anyone else, but not mortal to the Emperor.
yeah, because he's still alive.
Yes.
So
It's not exactly mortal, but it's approaching mortal.
you ever think we should just primarisify the Emperor? Maybe that will get him off the throne.
Put a
'Cause it seems
little
like
gene
any
seed
other-
in him.
Put him through
any
the
other
Rubicon.
person that is mortally wounded, you just give him Primaris upgrade.
So-
And now, boom,
Do you put, first of all, which legions?
Great Knights.
Yeah, because it's just his
It's
own,
his own.
right? So,
So
I mean, that was my thought too. Wavelength mark. Okay, so now we're going to get into the section where we're going to talk about the Black Legion and the Long War. So the Sons of Horus were the first to abandon the siege of Terra, almost is immediately following the death of their Primarch. They just whipped themselves out of Terra and left all the other forces of chaos there, which earned them the hatred and disgust of every other traitor legion. Like, these guys are now the black sheep
yeah.
so
That's where
of
they got
betrayers.
the Black Legion moniker from.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. We're still getting.
We're going to get there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The traitor forces were harried away from the solar system for 7 years before they were finally pushed back into the Eye of Terror. This was called the Great Scouring, where all chaos forces throughout the galaxy were pushed out of Imperium-controlled space. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Ultramarines actually had played a huge part in removing a lot of the chaos forces, just because their numbers were not really diminished.
Yeah,
It's easy to do when you skip out on the biggest fight
I mean,
of the
thank
century.
goodness, though, that someone had the numbers capable of doing that, or else maybe chaos would have just
Held its
spread
ground.
even further.
Good
Yeah.
thing Raboot Gilliman tactically withheld his forces. Tactically, though,
Sparing
so
himself
it's
the-
fine.
If you add the word tactical before any decision, it's totally fine. Now in the Eye of Terror, many of the forces of chaos blamed the Sons of Horus and their fast withdrawal for their loss at Terra and would openly attack any they came across.
Yeah.
They're just like, how dare you? You're the reason we lost, so you deserve to die.
Yeah.
Cowards.
Cowards. During the Legion War, Chaos forces battled amongst themselves for planets and resources within the Eye, and the old Sons of Horus were consistently targeted during these battles. Now, the Legion War is a whole thing,
Yeah.
but again, we're not going to talk about that right here.
It's a lot.
But it did kind of have this cool end result, and that's out of the ashes of this Legion War, Abaddon, first captain of the Sons of Horus, rose up to claim ownership of his fragmented and broken legion. He scrubbed Horus from them in every way he could to distance himself and the legion from Horus's failure. He called himself Warmaster. Oddly enough, he actually didn't do a very great job of, in my opinion, he didn't do a great job of actually distancing himself
If you just take the same
from
title.
them. So he took the same title,
Yeah.
but not only that, he decided to change their icon into the 8-pointed star with the fucking eye in the middle.
Horus.
So he's like, I'm just going to add 8 points onto this eye. And
It
here we
costs
go.
it costs a lot to rebrand. Right? There's
they're
a
just like,
cheaper
"Well, they've
They've already
alternative.
done it twice in their history.
Their budget is blown.
Yeah, they only had so much money. So. Black paint is also the cheapest you can come across in the Imperium. Oh, man. So their armor was made black, and their symbol was altered to become the 8-pointed Star of Chaos with the eye still in the middle. And they were reborn as the Black Legion.
Bum, bum, bum. The arch-rivals.
You should also mention that with the distancing of brands here, he also took Horus's claw.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Oh,
also
yeah.
doesn't help.
Another thing that he kept from Horus.
I wonder what happened to Horus's like hammer.
The mall.
Yeah.
The big morning star.
Yeah, I don't think I ever read anything about what happened to that. I don't know. Someone's listening and they know.
They're screaming,
They're screaming
internally.
Okay,
So-
this one I will allow the
Exactly.
email.
You should definitely email us if you know what happened to the hammer. From that point on, Abaddon the Despoiler has focused himself on the destruction of the Imperium and the death of the Emperor. For the past 10,000 years, he has engaged the Imperium in the Long War over 13 Black Crusades. And his greatest accomplishment ever came at the climax of the 13th Black Crusade, where his efforts brought forth the Cicatrix Maledictum, ripping the galaxy in half and allowing chaos to continuously and unendingly, vigorously,
Passionately?
you know there's passion in there, diseasedly,
I suppose.
angrily, yeah, destinily. How many more chaos things can I? But yeah, they're constantly now just exiting out of this rip in the galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, so Horus died, and Abaddon was able to retake the Legion. He did a bunch of shit during the Legion Wars to, like, prove that he
Man,
now...
another thing that we're so quickly glossing over.
Just a little teaser. Did you know that there was clones of Horus? Dun, 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 dun,
Stupid
dun.
little
Fabius Bile and his gribbly little science experiments.
yeah, when the Legion took Horus's body back to Malium, which was a demon world, effectively in the Eye of Terror, and they entombed him on it. Eventually, Fabius Bile took his body and built the clones. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That's what I try to do when I go grave robbing.
How successful are you?
Not yet, but I will be one day.
Oh.
You all better look out.
But yeah, he was able to, Abaddon was able to take and like reforge the Black Legion. And nowadays it's the biggest Legion, the most dangerous. It's the iconic Legion, you know?
Yeah.
Oftentimes you hear like civilians in 40K, like when people are writing stories, they seem to have a wide knowledge of 40K, you know? They know Legion names.
Sure.
Like
individual insignias and what they mean,
Yeah,
or even
it's-
color palettes. Like,
Exactly, but no standard citizen would know that, except for the Black Legion. Like, especially if you're around the Eye of Terror, they're whispered of in fear and dread.
you're in
Like,
constant threat of invasion from them.
you know who they are. They are the baddest of the bad.
You would maybe even like know the names of some of the more reviled.
Like, just imagine.
ones. Like if you found out
whisper.
Abaddon, someone mentioned that the vengeful spirit has been seen, you're fucked.
You're fucked, yeah.
Like run for the hills. Also, the hills are about to be turned into glass. So
That's nice. Yeah, and then he was able to basically, you know, he launches his 13 Black Crusades. We did episodes on those. Those were great.
hands down, some of my the most favorite episodes we've ever done were on the Black Crusades.
Yeah, so go listen to them too. You'll find out so much more awesome information about the Black Legion there too.
Yeah.
And yeah, now they've ripped the galaxy in half. That's on them.
That's on
They did this.
Yeah, they did that.
But what are they up to today, Christian?
Well, after the formation of the Great Rift,
Christian got lost.
yeah, Abaddon set his sights on Vigilus, one of the only stable routes.
I was reading one point ahead, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
So Abaddon set his sights on Vigilus, one of the only stable routes through the rift, separating the Imperium Nihilus and Sanctus. His presumed goal is to use the Blackstone to cut off any stable warp routes that connect the two Imperiums.
Okay. So Mark and I were writing this and we're going through it. We're kind of trying to see like what's like the
Yeah.
goal or whatever.
Yeah, what is the 14th Black Crusade?
Exactly.
Like,
What's Abaddon's next target? You know, and how crazy. And I'm just gonna double check something before I actually get into this.
you guys want to hear a story?
No, okay, I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
Because I didn't have a story.
No.
So the idea, like, there's the old adage, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
So if Horus's goal is to turn the galaxy into more, or not Horus, if Abaddon's goal is to turn the galaxy into more bite-sized, manageable pieces, I must say he has done an amazing job.
Yeah.
At cutting off half of the Imperium from the light of the Astronomicon, and then all of a sudden he's cutting off stable warp through the Cicatrix Maledictum. The Imperium Nihilus is just ripe fruit, waiting for him
Yeah.
to pluck it and eat.
Exactly.
Man, the more I read about Abaddon and the more I try and get into his shoes and what's going through his head, he is an absolute badass.
Yeah, you got to read the books. If anyone wants to send us those books, Eric will read them.
I will not only read them, I will devour those.
He'll eat the pages after he reads them.
Delicious.
Soak them
More,
in barbecue
please.
sauce and just slide them down my throat. I want to ingest them in every way possible.
Insert them in every orifice.
Now, how awesome! Whoa. Well,
These are books, Christian.
yeah. Don't be
You can
stupid.
roll a piece of paper.
But how awesome would it be for like the 14th Black Crusade if it was Abaddon and the Black Legion and the Forces of Chaos versus the Blood Angels and Dante as ruler of the Imperium Nihilus?
Yeah.
Like,
Because that's his next primary target.
Like, that's what I would assume as well. Like, that's the easiest one for you. And imagine the blow if all of a sudden you blanketed that half in the screams of its civilians, people weeping in horror, and you're just bringing more and more demons into it, and the Imperium can't even, like, come to effectively defend it.
Yeah.
Oh, I want it culminating in a battle between Abaddon and Dante, and they clash, and Abaddon deals a mortal wound to Dante, and Dante, in his dying breath, looks up, sees Sanguinius's golden face, and then bam, gets turned into a Primaris Marine, and then fights Abaddon again.
Yes!
who wins?
Nobody.
Stalemate, damn it! Damn it!
But that being said,
That would be sweet.
that would be awesome. Games Workshop, if you're listening, the things I will do to make sure that happens are almost immeasurable.
I like a little passion. Very, very passionate.
Yeah, I was so stupid as I was writing this and reading it and kind of forming my thoughts about it. I just had this whole cinematic
Experience.
a
A vision even.
play
Oh,
over
vision.
myself. I kind of was just shaking in my chair.
Foaming from his lips.
Megan starts banging on the door. Eric! There's chanting coming from the room. Oily smoke is pouring out from under the door as I'm overtaken in my vision. The building starts shaking that we live in.
The sun goes dark for
Yeah.
a moment.
All good things.
Great things. Amazing things.
Wow, does anyone else have anything they want to add about what's cool in the story of the Black Legion and
We can't top what you just did.
Yeah,
There's
honestly,
nothing
yeah.
you can say.
I've been in a creative mood recently. Someone tried to tell me on the Discord today that it's not impossible, but orders of Sisters of Battle would never fall. And I wrote so angrily, "You better believe I'm going to write a story of an order falling to chaos."
How dare you? No, it's canonically that only one
One.
has fallen.
That bugs me
I know,
so
me too.
much. Anyways, this is not a Sisters of Battle episode.
No, this is a Blood Angels episode. We're talking about
that's
Dante
right.
and the Blood Angels.
That's another episode we should really do. The Imperium Nihilus.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put that in the future notes
Right.
here.
Along with the other 6 pages of future notes that we might have ideas for.
It's looking like it's gonna be January 2062 when that one will
If
be ready.
you're lucky.
That's soon TM.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I didn't know what the Black Legion were really up to. Like, yeah, obviously they're just raiding stuff and, causing havoc. But when you read that line, like, yeah, they're really trying to separate. Ooh, so good. But
I think Vigilus is characterized, I think it's a fortress world. There's like a special classification of Imperium world that Vigilus has been given. And I think there's only 2 other planets that have this classification. And all of them are stable points through the Cicatrix Maledictum. when you think about there only being like 2 or 3 points through this thing, that is not hard for Chaos to just, especially because they're in the Cicatrix Maledictum, right? So there's like such
Surrounded.
easy points for Chaos to have access to. So
Yeah.
it should not be hard for Chaos to shut that down.
They ran the campaign, the Vigilus campaign, right?
Yes.
I like that eye roll. Do you know what happened in it?
Like the end point of
Yeah.
it. So I believe the end was inconclusive. I know Harkin showed up, and I know Calgar showed up. I don't believe Rabute ever showed up on Vigilus itself, but I believe the end was now it's just a stalemate.
Yeah.
Which effectively means that the Imperium still has access to it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Those worlds
So your
are
visions were a liar.
No, they're just wrong right now.
yeah, okay. Those worlds are called Sentinel worlds.
Sentinel worlds.
And it's a
that's
new
the-
classification of Imperial worlds that were introduced by Lord Commander Gilliman in the aftermath of the Great Rift's creation.
Right.
They're designed to serve as whoa, that's a word.
Invoyable?
Invoyable bulwarks against the horrors besetting the Imperium Nihilus. Beyond
And
that.
there's only 2 of them, right?
2 that are
So
known.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's not very hard for Chaos to just stop the taps of the Imperium reinforcements.
Yeah.
In case anyone was wanting to know my source for that, it's 500 facts for 500 stores! ! And this is fact 45 and 46. Fun fact, this is all true.
Lorehammer would never lie to prove a point. Yeah, so I think, though, any other points we had to share?
Just on the Black Legion structure, I don't know if you guys will mention later, but they're not exclusively composed of Sons of Horus.
We are going to talk about their
Okay.
gene seed and like culture and beliefs. More about. Do you have any other thoughts about the Black Crusade or the formation of the Black Legion? Even if you had thoughts about Sons of Horus or Luna Wolves, this would be an okay time.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't got nothing.
I think
for ya.
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we are actually going to take a quick break, but we will be right back.
Ever wonder if we're alone in the universe?
Do you find yourself staring into the night sky, theorizing about the existence of aliens?
Once you start asking the question, are we alone? Do you start to question, well, everything else?
Who?
What?
Where? Why? Aliens. Alien Theorist Theorizing is a comedy podcast.
Where your neighborhood armchair alien theorists theorize.
Why would we want to leave Earth?
Why
Ever.
wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we?
We're talking about space exploration, UFOs, extraterrestrials, cryptozoology, supernatural, and conspiracy theories.
He's not an owl! It ends right there! He's never been an owl!
So join us, the alien theorists, as we wade through the BS and get inspired by the possibilities.
With open minds and open beers.
New episodes every Friday. Listen to Alien Theorist Theorizing free on Spotify.
And welcome back.
It's weird doing that. We've never done that before, where we stop for a minute and then just sit here awkwardly as we look into each other.
Sure, search each other's souls
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. Well, it's done, so let's never do that again.
But if you want to, obviously those guys at Alien Theorist Theorizing, pretty cool guys.
Yeah.
Pretty cool topics.
Yeah. We've talked to them a couple times. They're pretty fun. So go check out that podcast. Very cool stuff.
All right, let's get back into the Black Legion. We've kind of covered their history, their formation, kind of the big turning points for them, and what's kind of determined their character and personalities. Now let's get into a little more minutiae, if you would.
Gene seed.
And I think
Let's start
Christian's
with
gonna
that.
All right,
take
sure.
the
Gene seed is my favorite seed.
Okay. At least you didn't say come.
Will you take my gene seed?
carrot seeds are my favorite seeds.
I like to plant people, Eric.
And harvest.
I will
Reap
harvest
a
their
harvest. All right, gene seed. During the Great Crusade, the Luna Wolves were said to have one of the purest gene seeds of any of the legions. Some even speculated that the Luna Wolves themselves were better than other legionaries due to the potency of the gene seed and its effects, much like mine. Being derived from Horus, the quote-unquote greatest Primarch, which many may debate.
Yeah, what's the like actual measurement of greatest versus not greatest? Is it like number of worlds conquered? Is that why they call him the greatest, or is it because he was Warmaster?
No, they do all manner of tests. They've conquered worlds to claim. They've forged weapons, kissing contests. They do all manner of things.
How
to
good
figure
are the Sons of Horus at hugging?
Yeah, all manner of different activities they do.
All right, so objectively,
they are the best. We can say that.
all
We can
right.
say after all our testing is complete,
Yes.
we have concluded that Horus
have
is the greatest hugger.
It's his head, really. Being able to rub it as you hug him is really nice.
Enhances the experience.
If only one Bob is listening, I imagine that's what also it would be like to hug you.
Don't say that to our listeners. Like, we're joking a lot about the legal team of Lorehammer. We don't have one.
Oh, right.
We
Shit,
are
sorry.
like, we can't be doing that.
We're going to get sued.
We're gonna get sued.
All right, back to Gene Seed. After the fall of the legions to chaos, the Black Legion Space Marines started to exhibit random genetic mutations and instabilities. The regular practice among the legions Astartes of seeking demonic possession may also have accelerated the effect. However, much mutations are seen as a mark of favor from the Chaos Gods and are generally displayed with pride by the Black Legion Astartes.
Yeah, every legion kind of has a different, or Traitor Legion has a different outlook of how they're affected by the Chaos God and their mutations, and then how they view them is differently. Like Thousand Sons, it was really bad to have mutations.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like theirs were like rampant and out of control.
right.
Yeah, like turns you into a mindless beast.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that like that level of mutation is definitely seen also in the Black Legion.
Sure.
But they might kind of venerate that and be like, you are consumed by chaos. You know, you're blessed to have that much chaos flowing into your body.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's other legions like the Iron Warriors who,
Reject it.
reject it. They even kill like mutations and stuff. They don't pass that.
They'll hack off limbs that are mutated.
Right.
Yeah, like
So yeah, it's good to note that every legion kind of has its own viewpoint of what they are.
these gene seed mutations have made it harder, but nowhere near impossible for the Black Legion to maintain their numbers, which has led to the Legion to use different methods, including abducting other Astartes and reconditioning them into the Legion, or using captured Loyalist gene seed, among other ways. Many of these methods are, quote, standard across most legions.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing about like the Black Legion is they use gene seed from everywhere. You can be in the Black
If
Legion.
ever there was chimeric gene seed,
Yeah.
it's in the Black
Exactly.
Legion.
Yep. You want an Imperial Fist Black Legion guy? I guess you can have that, and I won't even make fun of you. Not even a little bit.
I would. This is a little brain fart right now. I would love to see a Black Legion warband where all of them wear portions of their old armor, but it's desecrated.
Yeah, like
So,
scratched out, and,
exactly,
like,
but
chained up.
like
and-
they change it to like make it look like these legions are worshiping chaos now.
Yeah.
So you have like the Imperial Fist on like your shoulder pad, but the fist now has the eye around it or something.
Yeah.
Or there's
It's
like
holding the 8-pointed
Pointed
star.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Because that's totally like personal characteristic. That's exactly how I would see these guys. Is they're willing to desecrate what they used to hold most sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah, even on their whole gene seed business, like they can also recruit other Space Marines wholesale too
Sure,
into
yeah.
their ranks, right? Like, hey, you heard of chaos before?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not even. Hey, you're about to hear about chaos.
They knock on your door like Jehovah's.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
You heard of our Lord and Savior Horus Lupercal?
Because he's breaking down your walls. Terminator walks in the house.
Worshiping
Let's
chaos.
start the
now.
demon possession.
First, little girl.
But yeah, the final point is, just because you're part of the Black Legion doesn't guarantee that you come from Horus's genetic lineage. You could be from anywhere, anything.
Yeah. There are tons of Black Legion guys who are World Eaters, who are in the World Eaters, who are in the Horus Heresy, who are now Black Legion.
Right.
Yeah.
Swearing fealty too. Yeah, you don't necessarily even have to be like a big conversion process. Be like, hey, I used to be world leader, but I work for Abaddon now. And
Exactly.
And they look really cool. I like how they paint
Oh yeah,
Like they're usually crossbreed colors, right? They're
yeah,
wearing
like
a
they'll leave
little
their
bit of red.
helmet red and the rest will be black if they're
Yeah.
corn berserkers or whatever.
Yeah, I like that mix up. I like how Abaddon has kind of embraced that idea that chaos is just going to be chaos. And he's like, I don't care where you come from. Like, if you're part of my war band, you're part of my war band, and we're just going to fuck shit up.
Abaddon for Warmaster. Jeez.
Now, I have a question. So, like a lot of, especially in the Imperium, they kind of hold their gene seed to a sacred standard, and they like won't hear things said about their gene sire. Is his willingness to accept everyone maybe stem from the fact that he really doesn't give a shit about Horus, and he even views Horus as like a failure? Like, does that carry on down? Do you think he treats people differently based on what their gene sire is from? Does he also have a little bit of self-hatred for the fact that he shares that genetic connection with Horus and he can never actually get rid of it?
Yeah. Those are interesting thoughts. Yes.
Both of you are staring at me, so let's
I'm
move on.
Yeah, no, it's
No.
great thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm just obviously I don't have an answer for it.
Right,
but,
I'm
Yeah.
just,
It'd be cool to see that explored, maybe
Yeah,
in a book
yeah.
or something, where you get into Horus's psyche, or not Horus, Abaddon's
Abaddon's,
psyche.
yeah.
And just be like, maybe like a font of infinite hatred is if he always hates himself, right? He could never run out of that.
True.
It gives him more power.
Yeah. Because, hatred is a big thing. We'll even see it later about how they're kind of like the Black Legion is constantly trying to inspire fear and hatred into its own ranks because that's just fuel for chaos and power. I'd like to explore the difference between his like process and his thoughts on accepting everyone versus like 1,000 Suns is still only accepting 1,000 Suns into their
Ranks.
legion, right?
Yeah.
Same with, I believe, most of the other traitor legions. And in the
Yeah, most of
Imperium,
them,
obviously you would never see them accepting like the wrong gene seed into their own ranks.
There's also an element of necessity too. When you're conducting this long war, you get
The
recruits
long
when
war.
and wherever you can, right? So
Yeah.
there's also there's a practical side of it too, I
And
guess.
I think that's a good point to be made. I wonder if his like maybe he doesn't give the great assignments to people with like his own gene seed.
So-
I wonder if that favoritism has ever shown.
I don't know if
in-
that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we know a lot about like the higher ranking lieutenants of the Legion, and there are some holdovers from even the Sons of Horus, and
Okay.
so I don't know if he would like degrade or denigrate someone because they have Horus's gene seed.
Yeah, I don't think he does, because like if you we're gonna talk about like different things like the Izikarion and also the Chosen of Abaddon, like they come from different legions, and these are like as a carry-on. We'll get into it.
Sure.
But I think like the Black Legion themselves as a whole, definitely like if you have the Black Legion gene seed, I think you're looking down on everybody else. Like you always hear like the veterans of the Long War, like you hear that moniker a lot. Like
That's true.
that means something
They're
to them.
special.
That
Yeah.
means something that you were there fighting the Emperor, that's
Yourself.
still,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Okay.
I could see it being a little bit like that, little bit prejudice if you're not in the Black Legion, Horus's gene seed.
I feel like every Space Marine has some prejudice.
Has to.
Every Space Marine believes that their father is the best father. No Imperial Fist out there is going to be like, yeah, I like Rogel Doran, but man, that reboot, I sure wish I was an Ultramarine,
Well, then you clearly haven't read the 6th edition Space Marine Codex where they said every legion
Aspires to be.
Ultramarine.
Yeah. And that is canon.
Or the introduction to the Space Marines movie that also reinforces that idea.
No.
So
The greatest of these.
Refuse. There's my dissension.
perfect. Cool. Do we want to talk any more about gene seed for them?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, like their gene seed, they still have the ability to spit acid. I couldn't find anything that said they were lacking any gene seed.
Interesting.
Obviously, like it's all mutated. Like
yeah.
So
There's not going to be a benchmark for them.
Yeah.
But it probably means that there are some gene seeds where you could find a full set of the 19.
Exactly.
Right? And then there's going to be the next guy who is implanted with the same gene seed as you. more than half of his don't work.
Sure.
Because of demonic possession and you know, proximity to the eye and all that stuff. So
Radiation.
faulty medical equipment. Oops, just dropped a little scalpel into his body. Oh, that's gone. Yeah.
You could just reach in there and get it. Nope, we can't go in there. It's done now. Stitch them up.
It is finished.
Yeah, cool. Up next, we're going to talk about their combat doctrines. The Astartes' way of waging war, is a violent, brutal, and quick affair. Clad in Baroque power armor and wielding the deadly Bolterin chainsword, an Astartes is an unstoppable force bent on their enemy's destruction. In addition, each individual legion has its own idiosyncrasies and character, the product of their gene seed and unique warrior culture.
Yeah, a lot of that is going to be a holdover from their Primarch, right?
Their Primarch, their homeworld where they recruit from, like
Yes.
these guys recruit from Chthonia, like they have some very distinct character traits and even physical traits too, I think.
Yeah, like
I'm trying
genetics.
Yeah.
I don't know what theirs.
A lot of the
male
genetics-
pattern baldness is
A
not
lot
one.
of the genetics in Sons of Horus that would constantly hear is that Horus's like gene seed was particularly potent, and that a lot of them looked like
Yeah,
him.
they would
Yeah.
carry on his facial features.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's normally what I hear when I think of like genetic heritage
Yeah.
from them, is that they looked like Horus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you know, they come from warrior planets, so they take all those culture or traditions too, and all that. So in the case of the Sons of Horus, they specialize in the application of overwhelming force directed to where the foe was the weakest. Horus's preferred tactic of ripping out the throat of the enemy, you know, when you just go in and you just fuck up the command structure. These shattering blows were used to utterly destroy enemy command cadres, vital strategic support structures, and wreak terrible slaughter on the pride of an enemy's forces, often turning the tide of an entire conflict with a single, well-placed and savage attack.
Let's see if we can find moments in history where Abaddon has used that tactic himself.
Okay, so the very first Horus Heresy book, you know, they all deep strike into that Emperor's throne room,
What?
and they fuck him up. We're talking about the Horus Heresy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, like the very first book, there's a scene there where they set it up like they write it so you think this is the final battle between them and the Emperor, but it's just some other rebel empire that.
Right.
But yeah, they basically teleport in, kill the command structure.
Yeah.
That's all. Then they're done.
I believe they do it on Ulanor.
They do it on Ulanor, sure.
I believe that I could definitely put Abaddon's fight with like his Black Crusades, where he does like one move in an attempt to turn the entire tide. Like he destroys Cadia, that's huge.
Yeah.
Opening the Cicatrix Maledictum, like it took him a long time to set up, but that's one move right there. Shutting off the gates at Vigilus, like he's going for the weak points in the Imperium for maximum effectiveness. He's not trying to be a blunt weapon heading straight for Terra.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I like that you can kind of see this carried on in the campaigns that he chooses to fight. So
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of other examples too. It'd be cool. Yeah, I wonder
If
how-
only we had people in this room that knew stuff about 40K.
If only.
Yeah.
But
Never
you're
picked up a
stuck
40K
with us,
book in my life.
dear listeners, so we tread ever onward. Even on a personal level, the Sons of Horus took this merciless doctrine to heart, and like the wolves they were once named for, were swift to exploit a foe's weakness, surrounding and brutally tearing apart an outnumbered or exposed enemy before they could recover from the shock of the assault.
I love that image.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
you can
this-
just
the
picture them like,
savageness.
yeah, and like they're all just so in sync and aware, just like the pack of wolves, and like
they've been fighting together for thousands of years. They know each other's movements. They know exactly what they're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the thought that Abaddon has just surrounded himself with people that believe in him and are like fully behind him.
We got
Giving him
your back.
those words of encouragement,
Yeah.
that he needs.
That's what Horus lacked, and that's why Horus failed.
He didn't surround himself with good friends.
No, the Mournival did not do their job.
No, they let what was that word bearer?
Eberus.
Was it Erebus who was speaking in his ear? It wasn't a different.
No, it was
Okay.
Erebus.
Yeah, they let Erebus get too close and shut out all the rest of them.
Right? That's where the failure started.
Yeah. Anyways, the combat doctrines, Something about the Black Legion is that they're also willing to use whatever.
Sure, yeah.
They don't have like prejudice against using heavy artillery,
Sure,
or lightning fast attacks or prolonged sieges. They don't give a shit.
They are the masters of all warfare for sure.
A lot of that I think stems from the fact that they're willing to accept Space Marines and like recruits from wherever. So no matter what you're comfortable with or what you're knowledgeable
There's
about,
a place for you in the Black
exactly,
Legion.
Yeah. They'll find a place that is like good fit for you. Obviously, if you're a rank and file traitor guard, they don't give a shit what you're comfortable with. But
You are
as a-
cannon fodder. You
Yeah,
will always
exactly.
be cannon fodder.
As a Space
sir.
Marine, maybe they ask the Space Marine, like, what do you know? What are you good at? Let's put him in a unit that he's going to be effective at. So I could see that happening.
You often get this image when you're talking about like traitor marines of this like a roving band of
Insane people.
But like they're using tactics. The Black Legions. There's some cool battles in the Fall Acadia book. I read a couple inserts of just like how tactical they were in Blast. It was cool. That's all. That's my story. Thanks for coming.
I agree.
That
I
was
think-
a story
I think
I
there's a
wanted to tell
misconception.
earlier, but you guys didn't let me.
I think there's a misconception on the fact that people think they're just a bunch of mad lads running around, shooting their bolt guns into the air, throwing their chain swords at people, and it's not the case. It might be sometimes, but I think they definitely have the ability to outmaneuver, outthink, outplay anyone that they can come against.
Especially if one of their like actual commanders is like in charge, like Abaddon or one of his.
If
like,
he's there,
chosen
you've effectively been outplayed since the beginning. So
one other cool thing with the Black Legion is they're known for having like a lot of suit of Terminator armor, lots of Terminator suits, and really using that deep strike. So
very cool. Yeah, rip out the throat.
Yeah.
Like the
When you can
cut off the
teleport
head.
your heaviest infantry
Yeah.
on top of the enemy commander. It's,
into even
into them, yes.
claw your way out.
yeah.
Just the claw of Horus just bursts out of the enemy commander.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm here for that. Sorry, I spat all over my computer screen while
Okay, it means you're having a good time.
Yeah. So that's kind of their combat doctrines, kind of how they choose to play out.
And yeah, like the Black Legion is such a one last thing. The Black Legion is such a vast legion, hundreds of thousands of members. Like you'll come up with any tactic you want. You don't have to feel pigeonholed with them.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Any kind of theme you want to build an army or a list around for Black Legion is pretty thematic.
Yeah, you'll find a warband that'll work.
Exactly, yeah. So let's talk now about some of the cultures and beliefs. We're going to mention some things that were in their sort of Luna Wolves, Sons of Horus days, and a lot of things that are also in their Black Legion days.
Yeah, and how they came to that decision.
So the 16th Legion was always a proud and brutal legion, tracing much of its traditions to the planet Chthonia. Chthonia was an old Mechanica mining planet that had been mostly abandoned, described as rocky and volcanic, completely riddled with catacombs, crumbling industrial plants, and exhausted mine workings. The planet was notorious for the vicious gangs and slums. Most of its population fought and died with each other in the labyrinthine tunnels. The survivors were a hard people and made for great recruits for the Legion.
Yeah, it's a very cool planet. So like the Mechanicum ended up finding this planet.
Presumably pretty early on.
Yeah, and they strip mined it instantly because they were able to strip mine the entire planet before it was eventually destroyed after the Horus heresy.
Think of like Krypton.
Yeah.
Where they just consumed everything that the planet had to offer.
Essentially, yeah. And then so the people on there, it's such a cool people. Like they had all this stuff going, like all these factories and all that, but then Mechanicum basically up and left. All these people there.
Peace out, losers.
Yeah, we got what we came for. And left this whole population
What do we do
there
now?
to just
Goodbye.
and then they just throw like a bolt pistol down.
They just start killing each other.
Survive. Grow strong.
So great recruits, essentially.
Absolutely. The Black Legion values personal strength, intelligence, initiative, and maybe most importantly, discipline.
Discipline.
Discipline, as it's written.
It's an element.
Why is it?
What is this made out of? Discipline.
It's nearly unbreakable.
This human is 30% disciplined.
Wow, that's a lot.
The values, command structures, and protocols of legions during the Great Crusade were part of the reason of their success.
Yeah, like they had it all well machined, you know exactly what you need to do. It's all laid out for you.
Yeah, they're not like the unthinking, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole an entire legion here, but like the Imperial Fists are not known for their individual like great thinker and creative problem solvers.
Hashtag not all Imperial Fists.
That's right, yeah. But I think what was great about the Luna Wolves was their ability to take orders and receive them and play them out, but also the ability to creatively be like, well, you gave the order, but also you're not right here staring at the problem in the face, and I see a better solution.
You can be
for
tactically
it.
flexible.
Yeah. So I think making sure that you're that well-rounded person is way better than diving headstrong into one entire facet.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to.
In which case you do you.
In
homie.
which case you just worship Sanguinius as your father forever, and that's all you're good at. So,
Exactly.
yeah, all you're good at is crying for a man who's never even met you. Anyways,
Wait, are we talking about the Blood Angels or are we talking about my dad again?
I was talking about Dorn. Dorn. So sad. Okay. As the Great Crusade pushed through the stars, there began to grow some anti-human sentiment. The Astartes were warriors first, created by the Emperor to conquer the galaxy, and most of the Legionnaires began to wonder what would become of them once the galaxy was captured, worried about being abandoned and forgotten, with others openly saying they should be the new rulers of the galaxy once it was conquered. This malcontent played a huge factor in their fall during the Horus heresy.
Yeah, because like at the beginning, it's like Horus didn't be like, well, we're going to chaos, guys. You know,
Yeah.
it was like we need our own independence. Like
There were cracks there.
So
before, yeah.
remember how 30 seconds ago I said that it's great being well-rounded and not only focused on discipline?
yeah,
Maybe that's one of the reasons why the Imperial Fist didn't fall, is because they're so focused on following everything to the letter of the law, and they kind of lacked that ability to free think for themselves.
Yeah.
That a lot of the warriors in the Luna Wolves were totally okay with
Yeah.
their warrior lodges, being able to bring things to like people of ranks and questioning
Yeah.
new things.
Yeah.
Like I think that really was like the place where chaos takes root, is in your ability to free think.
yeah. You want to shut that down almost
Hard.
instantly.
Yeah.
You want to take away all rights. And,
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the only way to properly control a population of Space Marines.
Of course, yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the sentiment of like warrior kings that the Space Marines, like a couple of them maybe floated by.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Just Space Marines controlling these planets, running them. I mean, it would not be a great place to live.
I don't know, man. There's some great Space Marines out there. Like some of them really like murder. Shoot. You're right, Eric. You're right.
A lot of them like their training facilities.
Well, at least you know they have a great daycare. You know, the Space Marines, they come to your planet.
It's free
They
daycare
open
as
up
well.
this free daycare system. They
You may or may not get your child back.
That's
And
part of the
if
the
you
good
do,
part.
he's going to be 4 feet taller over the course of 2 days, and he's going to call everyone brother.
Wow, Timmy, what have they been feeding you?
I don't know, but I was cracked open on the table for 16 hours today, brother.
Is that wrestler a Space Marine?
Hell yeah, brother. Jeez. Okay. Over the course of the Legion's 10,000 years, their beliefs have changed drastically. In the beginning, the Legion were close proponents of the Imperial truth, having spent so much time fighting under the direct leadership of the Emperor.
The Imperial truth is like secularism, right?
Yes, it's the
belief
idea
they're-
that there is no religion.
There
they
are
put
no gods.
There are no gods. There's nothing beyond. We trust to like science, and they were reason and logic and critical rationality, stuff like that was like definitely floated through. The idea of like the library was better than the church, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's like. It made sense at the time,
Sure.
but there's a lot of, whether or not the Emperor was right to hide that truth from people. And like the Imperial truth was a lie,
yeah.
right? So
Dude, yeah, we can prove that by chaos gods.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost instantly.
Instantly.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Emperor sought to protect humanity from dangerous knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
All dictators have their reasons. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Like,
You just get to argue about whether they were good reasons or not, or whether they worked. In this case, it did not. It's been floated around a couple times. People want to get into the conversation of, did the Emperor make the right decision on lying to everyone? Yeah, shielding them from the truth. You know, is it better to educate people and make them aware of what they're going to be fighting, or to not even get them aware about it at all? Because, you know, even the knowledge of chaos corrupts.
If you recall your talk about free thought,
I do recall that, actually.
the best thing is not to tell them, because then they think for themselves and choose chaos.
oh no.
I don't know. Like, technically, he never told them about it anyway, and they still chose chaos. So, is one technically better than the other?
We will never know.
We'll never know. I think a lot of that just comes down to like whether you think the Emperor made the right decision or not. If you can't see, I'm shaking my head. He did not.
Vigorously, yeah.
Anyways, over time, some of the legionnaires even came to follow the Lectitio Divinatus, the belief that the Emperor was a god. This is specifically in the Sons of Horus, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Even though they were few and far between. So we talked about how they fought with him for these 30 years, building the framework of the Imperium.
Yeah.
If there was ever a way to kind of be convinced that someone isn't a god, I think that spending the time with him, seeing him with his son, you know, sharing his wisdom, seeing him falter on the battlefield and Horus having to save him in that Ulanor, honestly, that's my biggest example.
Yeah,
And
that's-
it's not even a great one, but it's the best I got. But like, he isn't a god, but he is a crazy person. And I think that you can still find that weird balance of reverence and like even a form of worship without being like, yes, he is the god. You know, he is the only answer in this universe of cold hard death. But I think that seeing him like that really would have cemented in the Sons of Horus that no, he isn't a god. He has told us so many times. We've seen him falter. We've seen his son help him and pick him back up. Like, he is greater than us, but he is not God.
Yeah.
So anyways, those that believed it were quickly weeded out during the preparations for the heresy, as Horus saw this as a threat to his own power and authority.
Yeah, so a lot of them were dealt with during the Istvan 3 or 5? 3 massacre. Yeah.
Oh, the drop site.
Drop site massacre.
I was going to get there eventually. After the corruption of Horus, the Legion openly rebelled against the Imperium, siding with the forces of Chaos. At first, Chaos was just a tool they wanted to use for their own personal gains, but the Chaos Gods are no one's pawns, and now the Legion openly serves Chaos. This is a little quote from Xereth of the Black Legion.
This is our galaxy, ours to corrupt, ours to enslave, and the gods will not be denied. Grimaldus! Grimaldus!
Yeah, there you go. And that was by Xerath of the Black Legion. But that really sums up their mentality now. Like, they're here to conquer the galaxy, not for themselves, but for their dark gods.
Yes.
They're here to enslave you.
Doesn't that contradict a little bit of Abaddon's view?
Well, Abaddon, I think, believes that you can serve the gods without being
Dominated?
controlled. Yes, dominated. That's a great word. Without being dominated by them. Like, and I think he's found his balance for it, obviously.
Sure.
Like,
I found the perfect middle ground.
he's
a rational
If there's a
thinking
fault
man.
with Abaddon, I can't find it. So,
Abaddon only serves chaos every other weekend.
that's right.
That.
He's found
But he has
good
his own life.
work-life
Yeah,
balance.
exactly.
You know?
He has his off hours, and
Yeah.
he makes it a priority to take care of himself.
He still does his hobby time where he flays people alive
For
you know.
himself.
Exactly. It's
Not
a
to any
recharge
god.
time. Yeah.
I'm doing this for me.
When they scream, he makes sure his name is on their lips.
yes.
That's nice.
And one of Abaddon's other talents is organizational skills.
Wow. Okay.
That
What a
is
segue.
probably the greatest segue we've had in the entire episode. So.
Yeah, we've set a low bar though.
Very true.
And you derailed it. Let's talk a little bit about the organization of the Black Legion. While once a cohesive organization of 150,000 or more Astartes, now the Black Legion is broken down into many war bands with no real organizational vibe to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even
There's no real
Command structure.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bunch of like cells working together with their own kind of leaders who report to higher leaders who report to higher leaders.
Yeah.
But it's not a pyramid.
That's right.
You got to think of it.
No. It's him commanding 3 other people, and each of those commands 3 other people.
If they
but it's not a
recruit-
pyramid.
Extra Black Legion people
Right.
under them. It goes up their upline.
Well, first
Yes.
they have to buy. They have to pay the fee
Yeah.
to join, which obviously goes up the ranks because they're the most
Power
important
armor's
people.
expensive.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's,
You have
to
it's
buy.
not free.
Upkeep is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a pyramid.
It's an inverse triangle.
Right.
Yes.
You were
Sorry, I lost
halfway
my-
through point 1.
I lost my place.
Warbands.
Warbands of virtually any size and composition can be found following the Black Legion champions, ranking officers from older times or newly emerged leaders who have one favor. I like that because you don't have to stick with the heroes you heard about from the Luna Wolves days. You can have your own war leader that up and coming, newly recruited, or
Just as
freshly
famous
fallen.
even.
Yeah. It's all based on merit.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy Abaddon is.
that's the kind of place we want. We want.
We want that.
Yeah.
We want that in the workplace.
Merit-based rewards.
Are we turning into a chaos warband?
Well, cult.
Oh, to start.
It
Yeah.
started when we formed a lodge.
That's right.
And next thing you know,
Oh my god.
it happens quick.
It's kind
My God.
all I'm seeing is that it's kind of inevitable. We had no choice. Our hands were tied.
Oh,
Our lore hands were tied.
oh no.
Yeah, so during larger wars, such warbands rally together under the banner of a greater champion or even Abaddon himself for a major raid or incursion into the hated Imperium. That's cool too. They kind of like call the equivalent of a Dark Crusade or whatever, and they're like, hey, we're going to go take this objective, and a bunch of guys rally together and like, yeah,
They just show up there.
meet me over here.
Put the bat signal out. Something that like we've mentioned before, his Black Crusades and how Abaddon leads them, but we don't really talk about the fact that just because there's way more crusades and battles that the Black Legion participates in beyond these 13 Black Crusades.
Yeah.
There are so many different battlefronts, and with so many Marines, like this is the biggest legion ever.
Yeah.
Broken down into their warbands. Never mind all the chaos cultists and like traitor guard that follow around with them that are also a part of like this warband Black Legion.
I guess that's the other point. Like, you can technically be in the Black Legion
And not be a Marine.
Be a
Yes.
human. Yeah.
Yeah. So remember that these warbands aren't only being active during the massive 13 Black Crusades. They're calling their own crusades.
Yeah.
They have their own goals that they're trying
Their
to
own
accomplish.
agendas,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they might even be calling other warbands in the area to help them. So it's not only like insular until the moment
Yeah.
of Abaddon.
Yeah.
And Abaddon's like at the top calling all the shots. Like people have a little bit of leeway
Right.
where they lead their war bands.
Yeah.
Despite the lack of organization, I guess you could say, within the Black Legion or official organization, there are still some structures that exist within the Black Legion, and they have names. They are the Ezekarion and the Chosen of Abaddon. The Ezekarion are the founders and inner circle of the Black Legion, lords who are sworn brothers to Ezekiel Abaddon, hence the name Ezekarion, the despoiler, and those most trusted by him, even allowing him to call him by his first name, which I guess is a great honor within the ranks of the Black Legion. Ezekiel, my brother. Ezek, my boy.
Oh, boy.
I wonder, like, okay, you know how in a lot of kind of fandoms that they introduce the idea of the power of a name
Yeah.
and like kind of
It's
like
in
the
40K.
holiness and like the fact that calling a name gives it power and you draw attention to it. And yeah, 40K plays
They
into
have the
it,
true
some
names.
of it. Well, especially of demons only.
Yeah.
You
Well, the Emperor's name too is
Yeah,
a
but
thing.
he's not really a mortal being.
Maybe he's a god.
Yeah, it's a little hard to compare him though to the rest of the galaxy.
Sure.
But Abaddon is not a demon by any means. Like he refuses to ascend to demonhood. He's just a
Just a
Space
dude.
Marine swollen with power,
Yeah.
right, that he's earned in these boons and favors. But the fact that he's kind of turned his name into something sacred, like, I love that idea.
Yeah.
That, like, no one is allowed to say it. And if you say it, like, I will find you and I will annihilate you. Because it's sacred and it's special and it's only meant to be said by a few people who are worthy of saying it. Ugh.
You don't hear much about 3.5 Black Crusade, where Abaddon actually went and killed a bunch of Ezekiels throughout the entire galaxy.
So that
just
only he could have the name.
He would be the true Ezekiel.
He infiltrated the Administratum's registrar to find every
the
person who was Ezekiel, Ezekiel or whatever, and then he went on a crusade. Yes, 3.5 to find them.
Little known fact. Factoid.
Disclaimer: nothing Lorehammer says is factual or canonical.
Except in all seriousness, that whole 500 fact thing that I read, that was serious. That was a serious source that I listed. But other than that, it's all bullshit.
I like his desire to make his name special.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also an interesting fact that they're the founders of the Black Legion. So it implies Ezekiel. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling him by his name. Ezekiel himself didn't forge the Black Legion. He did reach out to other warlords.
He did it with help, for sure.
And he did it with help, too, from lots of places, including other legions, but also other areas, like the Mechanicus.
One of his best-known relationships with another legion is Iskar Koyan.
I know his last name
is
is
the Thousand Suns sorcerer.
Okay.
And that was one of the first people he approached during the Legion War following it, and helped him kind of set himself up as Warmaster and leader of the Black Legion. Cool. And that guy, I believe, is still around to this day.
He is, yeah. I'm just on the name. They say how to actually say his name at the bottom, and I know the last part is Kane.
Kane? Okay. Yeah.
It's
definitely
spelled
not
really
spelled
crazy.
It's not spelled Kane, for sure. But yeah, it's nice to, not nice, but it makes complete sense that, he is looking elsewhere, because I think he recognizes that failure is what happens when you only focus on one thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Too focused. Cool. And then the other group, we were just talking about the Zakarion. The other one is the Inner Circle, entirely composed of that isn't entirely composed of Astartes, which includes Syraxia of the Dark Mechanicus, and the Mistress of the Arsenal, and Moriana, the Prophetess, are included in the ranks of the Ezekarion.
So these are non-Space Marines even.
Yeah. One is just Morana, the Prophetess, is just a human, just a female prophet.
Right, but someone who's just soaking in the powers of chaos and divining things for Abaddon. These people also all have uses. If I could compare them to anything, I'd probably compare it to the High Lords of Terra. They all have a responsibility within the running of the Black Legion, and they have their own place. Especially when you see Syraxia of the Dark Mechanicus. Yeah, that's his liaison. So
cool fun fact about Moriana.
Did you know this, or did you just read this?
I just read it.
Okay, that's good. I'm pointing that out.
I can't know everything about 40K. I need room in here for other things like my children's names.
You got two, just remember one.
Yeah.
1 and 2. Or I can name them after 40K figures, and I'll always remember.
Go.
Every time you say their name, a litany runs through your head, all information about that child.
Sanguinius. Come here, my son. But anyways, Moriana. So we don't know a lot about her history. There are a bunch of different kind of rumored origin stories, almost like the Joker has all these different possible origins. But one of them is that she may or may not have been, according to Hansu, the warsmith of the Iron Warriors, she used to be handmaiden to the Emperor himself before she fell from grace and was banished from the Imperium.
The people that walk the highest paths have the
hardest falls.
Oh, no.
Yes. Again, whether or not that's true is unknown. There are other origin stories, but that's a cool one if you choose to believe it. Also, just a quick thing on Iskandar Kaon's name is Sekander Kane. Is how you pronounce that.
Okay.
Yeah. It says in his... I was going to feature him in my list of named people. Yeah. I chose other guys instead, but it's a fun fact.
He's a very well-known one, and he's been around for a while. So
yeah.
I also almost picked him.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Zakarion. So the other kind of named group within the Black Legion are the Chosen of Abaddon.
Ooh, yes.
And each of Abaddon's Chosen have might enough to crush armies, conquer worlds, and shake the very foundations of the stars. And yet, every time we slay one of their number, another warlord of equal strength takes his place. What hope is there in opposing such foes? Quote, the betrayer of Caledonia. I did not know that was a quote until after I got to the end. Otherwise, I would have made it more dramatic.
The quotation marks at the beginning of the sentence didn't tip you off?
No, I don't know punctuation.
What can men do against such reckless hate?
That's why Eric has to do all the quotes in an episode. But yeah, rather than a single force with a single leader, the Black Legion would become a mighty host of many war bands and warlords. Within this host, all would swear complete allegiance to Abaddon, and through an inner circle, he would lead them with absolute dominion. These favored lieutenants become known as the Chosen of Abaddon. The Chosen were his favored generals, standing above all others and enacting his dark will.
Very cool.
I like that. They're his tendrils of power spread throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kill one, another one, he just, okay.
Another one will
appoints
rise
another
to take
one.
its place.
Yeah. Which is cool because
Hail Hydra.
Hell help.
it also reinforces like their defense against their own way of making war is to cut off the enemy's head. But if they keep having like a leadership structure that's hard to pin down and hard to like actually get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, other
Isn't
than-
that funny? Like that's their whole tactic is to cut off the enemy's like head, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what the Emperor did to Horus. And then he shattered the Legion,
Yep.
they fell.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they learned.
It broke down completely.
Completely.
when
So
he
they
broke.
learned, hey, it's best not to do
That's
this. So-
Man, Abaddon. What a cool guy.
Zeke, my boy.
Don't you ever speak his name.
Yeah, the Chosen of Abaddon bear an assortment of titles reflecting their role in a past Black Crusade or honoring particular acts of cruelty for which they are infamous. Their numbers are ever changing, for Abaddon has a little tolerance for failure amongst those who serve him.
Love it. Abaddon.
So the first one we have is the Lord Ravager, Champion of Khorne. The Lord Ravager leads the invasion fleets of the Black Crusades. He is the first to make landfall on the surface of a world about to be ravaged by the Black Legion. The Lord Ravager leads Abaddon's ground forces and is always found in the vanguard of the assault, always leading from the front.
Very cool.
I mean, it totally makes sense for, this is Khorne. I want to
Yeah.
be in the middle of the battle. I want to get as much bloodshed as possible. Put me down
Yeah,
there,
like
coach.
let me be the one actually killing
Yes,
things,
exactly.
not directing from the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. The Lord Deceiver, and he's a champion of change. The Lord Deceiver is a powerful chaos sorcerer, one who not only sees into the warp, but also understands it. Guiding the Black Crusades from star system to star system, he is able to sense the currents of the warp, directing him to their prey, no matter where they hide. It's very cool. Yeah, so this guy, he just basically... He looks into the warp and he sees a target in his mind, and he's able to somehow pinpoint where it's at. And then,
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for this Lord Deceiver picking like the best warp routes,
Yeah.
how is the Lord Ravager going to make planetfall?
Tell me where I need to go.
Yeah, I honestly think we'll keep talking, but they all have their place, and
Yeah.
Abaddon obviously has people ready to step up and take these roles. There might even be multiple Lord Deceivers.
Yeah,
and
I was wondering
multiple
that.
Lord Ravagers that we don't know about,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he obviously has people who are like strong and like tactically like knowledgeable and like smart in whatever their thing is. They're also champions of the gods.
Yeah.
So like Abaddon's kind of got everything in his pocket.
He's got a couple of nice things.
So the next one we're going to talk about is the Lord Corruptor, the champion of Nurgle. And the Lord Corruptor is responsible for the morale of the Black Legion warriors. He constantly feeds them fear and hatred to inspire them to atrocities beyond what they would perform alone. He collects the skulls of failed servants on his trophy rack.
Very cool.
I like that they actually have someone that's like looking inward and like making sure like
Enforcer. Yeah.
yeah, you could see him as like either being an enforcer, like do your job or you get killed, or even like someone who genuinely makes you feel, this is gonna sound cheesy, but I do mean it, but like makes you feel part of the war band and like make sure that you're like, you're still on Abaddon's side.
It
and
kind
like,
of It sounds like it kind of falls into the domain of like their dark chaplains, the dark
Yeah, that's
apostles.
exactly what I think about.
Yeah.
Or like a chaplain for the
Exactly.
Imperium, right?
Yeah.
Like he's looking.
How
out for
are
his
you, my
boys.
brother?
Yeah.
When was the last time you crusaded? When was the last time you desecrated a holy place?
Yeah.
Do you feel good? You know, you want it? Yeah.
Are you still feeling angry?
Do you need a little more anger?
Do we need to feed
Little
that on the
fear?
Imperium?
Just take these drugs and watch this video. You'll be feeling like yourself in no time.
Are you a
Thanks,
Lord Corruptor?
Thanks for corrupting me, Lord.
Yeah, and it kind of feeds into the Father Nurgle kind of aspect of,
Definitely,
of
yeah.
Nurgle, where being a follower of chaos isn't all like bad. Sometimes there's a silver lining. Sometimes
you really gotta look for the silver lining, though.
but it's there
And
somewhere.
then other times, the silver lining punches you in the face, like
right.
with the Lord Purigator,
And then-
the champion of Slaanesh.
And then a big maw opens out of the silver lining and consumes your soul because it's chaos. You want to do Lord Purgator?
Sure, yeah. The final of the 4 is the Lord Purgator, champion of Slaanesh. Once planetfall has been made, the Lord Purgator is responsible for enslaving the populace and dragging them back to the Legion's starships in chains. It also falls to him to desecrate their holy sites and places of worship, ensuring that they are turned to the dedications and altars for the Chaos Gods.
That's so sweet.
I love that aspect. I love the idea that if, first of all, Black Legion leaves your planet and someone comes to look, they're seeing all these like holy signs. The most sacrilegious things that could be done to these places have been done to them. Like they're turning them into like fonts of power for chaos.
Yeah.
They're channeling chaos god energy through these places where the emperor was worshipped, and it would just completely turn. If you were a follower of the emperor, like you go see one of these, you would just go mad. Like you just couldn't comprehend what was happening. You would kill yourself. You would kill those around you. It just
Oh,
yeah.
I don't want that.
It's a desecration on your soul. And that's just such a crazy thing about 40K.
I like that he enslaves the population
Yes.
and takes them back.
Drags them in chains,
Yeah.
the children, like everyone
Yeah.
is just
Probably picks out like good people to be like, oh, you're a good recruit for Space Marines.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be like forced labor camps. You guys are going to be.
You're on the chain duty. We need chains being made 24/7.
to enslave all the other people.
You're on chain duty.
You're going to forge your own chain.
Oh no.
The cruelty.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the chosen of Abaddon. They're very cool. I like that they have a place.
Yeah, it says there's 4 types, but there might be like 50 of each of these lords.
There might be, yeah.
wandering the galaxy. So, yeah, they even mention the names of a couple of these and like little tidbits of their stories.
Yeah.
And it's possible we'll go into that at some point, but we're not doing that today.
Yeah. Yeah. But we will talk about other characters. How's that segue? That's our next segment. Characters. Do
Yeah.
you know them?
So what we did on this one, there's obviously so many different known named characters of the Black Legion.
Yeah.
And so what Mark and I did is we said, okay, what if we each picked one to kind of highlight, but none of us were allowed to pick a Baden
Or Horus.
or Horus. Yes. Christian, did you pick Horus?
I did pick Horus. Damn it. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to rewrite this real fast.
So do you want to go first, Mark? Or
Yeah, I can go first. So
Cool.
the guy that I chose is Zagathian the Broken. Zagathian is a Chaos Lord of the Black Legion. He led his Black Legion warband in a fury of violence and excess on the angry world of Valencia. For his own satisfaction, the warlord constructed a vast maze of thorns from the world's rose orchards, binding his prisoners and loosing them within the tunnels before hunting them down at his own leisure. Countless inhabitants spent their final terrifying hours listening desperately for the sound of pursuit, their flesh bleeding from dozens of thorn cuts.
All right, Christian, where's your silver lining?
I got my silver lining.
I'm sure lovely flowers bloom on those vines.
But you're blind. You can't even see them.
But you can smell them. though.
Maybe you can.
Maybe
You got to stop and smell the roses.
That's a lesson to take away.
Even when you're blinded and being chased through this maze of thorns, you got to stop and smell
By
the roses.
8-foot-tall, power-armored monsters. Life's
Too
it's
short.
way too short
to not stop and smell the roses before you get destroyed.
So, yeah, the other thing he did, which was fun, sometime after the Fourth Black Crusade, Zegathon pillaged the Heliosian in the Agrippian sector. These aren't words, man.
Well, not real ones,
Not
for sure.
real ones. Taking the
Agrippina
covenant
is
of
a real word.
Alabaster. No. Taking the covenant of Alabaster maidens prisoner. Convent. That's like a Sisters of Battle convent. He exposes them to the energies of the warp, triggering their latent psychic gifts. Zegathon then uses warp tech to fuse the maidens into a single entity before using the resultant abomination as a living warp portal to unleash a demonic invasion.
As you do.
Yeah, I love opening up portals through women.
I like fusing
la.
into a single entity with women.
Oh, I love that too.
Could you almost say that they are now like chaos serving this convent?
Yeah, like who knows if they even survived? There wasn't really a whole lot, but wait a minute. More sisters fallen?
Oh.
I think they were just tortured.
Sure.
And, like,
Probably died in the process of
yeah.
Their
being
energies
used as
were
a warp
used.
gate.
Yeah.
Single entity.
But maybe not. Maybe they're somewhere out there existing as a horrific. Okay, total side tangent, if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
There's a short anthology series by the guy who directed District 9.
Yeah.
So good. Got to watch it. They just took it off Amazon Prime, so I don't know where you'll find it. But there's one story.
What's it called? If
wish
you
I
want to
could
direct
remember.
people to what's the guy's name who directed it?
I don't remember. the show's icon is like this hand. It's like a black
Okay,
hand.
okay.
And it's like an anthological short series. But there's a monster there. In one of the stories, there's a monster that's made of a bunch of people
Okay.
put together, and I just
Ooh.
like that image just burned itself into my mind
Nice.
and has reemerged with Mark.
You're welcome.
You got one more line on Zegathon.
Well, basically, he was later in command of the Black Legion during the 13th Black Crusade, and he just did stuff. They didn't say what he did. He just did stuff.
He was participating in it, though.
Yeah. But yeah, warp tech is apparently able to fuse maidens into single entities, so I thought that was neat.
The great thing about warp is that it's warp, and being in the warp means you're all around the warp, and the warp can affect you in ways that non-warp stuff can't. That is, that's what's playing in everyone's mind right now. Warp.
Yeah,
Zegathon,
that was my character.
the broken.
Yeah. I liked him because he was a gardener. Is originally why I picked him.
Yeah, he's got a love of plants.
Man after
for
my own
sure.
heart. Minus some of the, the whole torturing people,
Right.
blinding them, putting them into a maze of thorn.
It goes without saying.
There's a lot of similarities. I do have a maze in my backyard, but it's nice. It's fine.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we only put people in it that want to go in it.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we do hunt them. So they know.
They know.
They
They
know.
signed the waiver.
That's
Our
right.
lawyers verified it and everything.
It's a real legal contract. Okay.
Who do you got for us?
I have chosen as my character Harken World Claimer.
Ooh, that's the new character, right?
Yes, with the new model that came out with Vigilis.
Okay.
So the self-proclaimed herald of the apocalypse and proclamator of Abaddon's reign, Harken relishes his role in declaring death of worlds and preparing the way for his master, the Despoiler.
Ooh.
Harken is a Black Legion lord and raptor leader.
Wait. Sorry, can we go back?
Yeah.
He's the self-proclaimed herald of the apocalypse?
Yeah.
So this guy's not even he's not even certified?
Not even anointed.
I don't think there's like the school of
Black Crusading.
apocalypse heralds. Yeah, sure. He didn't go through his 2-month certificate, but you know what's more important than that?
Experience.
The heart and the passion that Harken has. And if you think that a piece of paper is going to stop him from proclaiming Abaddon's reign, you're lying to yourself, Mark, okay?
Is this how you got your job as a director at a bank?
That's right.
I may not be qualified from this job.
You think
I have heart.
you know what? I'm just going to show up here every day until you start paying me. Anyways, yes, he is a self-proclaimed herald of the apocalypse.
That's pretty neat.
He is a Black Legion lord and a raptor leader. He wields the Hell Spear, which is a demon weapon that has kind of become a symbol of his power. At the beginning of each planetary assault, he makes a big deal and show of himself stabbing the spear into the ground of the planet, which then he effectively claims, "I will, destroy. The apocalypse is here." I believe when he did it to Vigilus, he claimed that the planet was going to fall within 80 days. That was kind of like the time frame he gave. He says, this planet will fall to Abaddon in 80 days. Yeah, let's not talk about what actually happened, I guess.
He talks a lot of smack for someone who doesn't have a certificate in crusading.
Maybe that was what he never learned, was that never give deadlines. Because then you have to stick to the deadline. Harkin views himself as a scholar of all things occult. Several of the more well-known books he has studied are the Grimoire Nostromo of Conrad Kurz, the Clotted Scrolls of Angron, and the... Isn't that crazy? Yeah. It's just got to be clotted with blood. That's my thought.
I'm wondering so many things. Is it written in blood clots?
It's written in his blood. That's my guess. And the Book of Magnus, though reading the last one apparently cost him his sanity.
Oh!
So he's insane.
Oh, perfect. Well, self-proclaimed.
Of course, yeah.
He's not a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. He's not diagnosing himself.
You're a herald and you're insane? This guy has no idea what's going on. I bet he gives deadlines for his world conquering. So the Grimoire Nostromo greatly influenced Harkin, and he employs fear tactics very similar to the Night Lords.
That's cool.
His use of a laud hailer, which is a large speaker system commonly found on Sisters of Battle, like their rhinos and stuff that they use. So he uses that and a Vox array, and he just spews hatred and vitriol. Yeah.
Fuck you guys over there! Just shouting across the battle line.
What's your name? You seen that? No, I gotta show you guys after. Anyways, so he uses those and just spews hatred and fear tactics, and it has driven his enemies to commit suicide before he even has a chance to engage them.
His words must be poison.
Your words are like
really
poison.
hurt my feelings.
Enough so that I'm willing to kill myself. But yeah, that's Harkin the World Claimer.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the books, man.
The books are cool.
Yeah.
I like that it tells which ones he's read. And
He seems well read. He's read 3 books.
it's the ones, it's like the big ones. I'm assuming he's read way more than that.
He's probably read the Levitico Demonatus or whatever.
yeah.
Tishio, yeah. He says he's like a student. He's a scholar of occult things.
Is that before or after he went insane, though?
Halfway through, he's insane, and it's a self-diagnosis. How much of it is real? So
It's hard to say.
yeah, hard to say. But that's my guy.
Thanks.
Cool.
Your turn, Christian.
Yeah, so I picked 2.
Okay.
Because I found it hard to pick one because they're all so good. So good. And there are so many to choose from. I really flip-flopped on a bunch of them.
Do I do Horus or do I do Abaddon? Horus or Abaddon?
I'll do both. Yes. No. So the first one we'll start with is, oh man, I'm gonna suck with these names, but I'll try. Lerovine Ukris, who is short, thankfully, goes by Leor, or is also nicknamed Firefist, and he's a warband leader of. He was a warband leader of World Eaters actually before joining the Black Legion. And there's not a lot about him. His service record goes all the way back to the Horus heresy as a World Eater.
Man, it's cool how many of these Marines have been around for so
Forever.
long.
Yeah. And he used to be a centurion of the 50th Heavy Support Company. And that's part of the reason I picked him too, is because he uses a freaking heavy bolter. He's a corn berserker with a heavy weapon, and that looks awesome.
That's kind of different.
Yeah. There's a picture of him on the Lexicanum page. Yeah. And he's sleeveless too, like Karn, so he's got to show off his
big
guns while he's holding a gun.
If you work for it, you're allowed to flaunt it.
Yeah. Exactly. Your big guns while you're holding your big guns.
Yeah. So like I said, he was a centurion, so he was also like a leader,
right,
of the old legion. And then after they all turned to chaos, and after the Battle of Scalathrax, he commanded a small war band of World Eaters that were called the 15 Fangs. Which eventually allied themselves with another.
You're looking at the wrong guy, Mark. You're looking at Devram Korda, and you should be looking at Leor or
Oh.
Fire.
Lurvine Ukris.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you looked up Fire Fist, you'd find.
You'd
the
find
picture.
him.
Oh, you got it. No, you had it the first time. Anyways, keep telling me about
Yeah.
this guy.
I'll find pictures.
So he actually crosses paths with Falcus Kyber, who's also a prominent son of Horus / previous son.
Creator of the Kyber crystals.
Not quite, but I guess you could say that. Yeah, and he also crosses paths with I forgot how to say his name. Iskander Kane. Yeah, whatever his first name is, Iskander Kane. So he is involved with a lot of like the big heavy hitters, even though he himself doesn't have a lot of information on himself personally. Like he's more of a side character.
Right.
He's obviously there for a lot of the big battles that he experiences, and we don't know a lot about him, but just the fact that he's not your typical world leader was enough for me to pick him. You're still looking for a picture?
We're gonna get it.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
there we
he
go.
Worth
Wow.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a big gun.
it. Yes. So
Oh my god, those bolts are so
Yeah.
big. Each one is bigger than my fist.
yeah. He
that-
is also dead.
When did he die?
He's died during fighting on Macan during the 7th Black Crusade. So
okay.
a while ago. He's been dead for a little while.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't pick him.
Wait, what?
Wait.
Wait, what did we just do here?
I'm going to go through all the ones I didn't pick first, and then I'm going to tell you about the ones that I did pick.
Okay. I'm for it.
Okay. So the other one that I picked is Devram Korda. He's cool because he is actually a warlord in his own right, known as the Tyrant of Sarora.
Okay.
And he, again, is another veteran of the Horus heresy. He was a veteran sergeant of the Sons of Horus 13th Company, always a lucky number. The captain of the 13th Company was Luke Sedere.
That's a known name.
Yeah, so he's like one of Horus's favorite.
We
Captain.
actually even did we talk about this guy kind of? Was he the guy that fake had a vision with Horus in the Serpent Lodge?
Oh.
You know what I'm
No, that's Trajan, I think. I could be wrong. It might be Luke.
The name is familiar, so
Yeah,
it's totally
he was a
possible that-
prominent,
I'm pretty sure it was.
I guess,
Okay.
Luna Wolf at the time.
Like
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the reason I picked him is he is around again during some of the special events of the Horus heresy,
Okay.
and he's involved a lot with assassins for some reason. So
This Devrim guy?
yeah, Devram Korda.
Okay.
So in one of the Horus heresy books, after Horus turns, they start sending assassins to try and take out Horus and some of his captains and
Right.
things.
This is after he proclaims
Himself against the Imperium.
Right.
Yeah,
I
so-
remember that moment.
So Devram Korda, when they find one of these assassins, this is one of my favorite depictions of like a Space Marine's power. He backhands the assassin and like shatters his jaw and face completely, and like essentially kills him.
Sure. With
And-
one backhand.
with one
Is he wearing
backhand.
power armor?
Yeah, but it was like he's not even trying to kill you. He's just
Sure.
like, for your insolence, he backhands him and like pretty much devastates the guy, and like he finishes him off. But yeah, I picked him exclusively for that moment.
That moment.
Which is like buried itself in my mind ever since I read it. It was just wonderful.
Very cool.
Yeah, but like I said, like eventually he's just like a lowly veteran sergeant, quote unquote. But even within like the ranks of Space Marines, you know, veteran sergeant is still someone, and he becomes a tyrant of Sorora, commits such heinous actions that he actually has the entire population killed and turned into an elixir for him.
Oh my god.
Oh.
To
He
achieve
distills-
immortality.
Distills an entire population into a single
drop.
drink. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about him too is that he is a follower of the Emperor's children. So again, it shows you that like not all Black Legion guys have to be the same, right? Some can go after certain gods themselves.
Yeah.
You've written this, but you didn't actually mention it. How he is a chosen of Abaddon.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Oh, sorry,
I
man.
was
I stole your
getting
thunder.
there,
I thought
yes.
you were finishing.
Yeah, no. So he is a chosen of Abaddon, like Eric said.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, and follower of Slanesh. So that's also cool. So like he went from veteran sergeant to like this really high ranking, you know, handful of Abaddon's chosen.
Very cool.
And he goes into the. You're on the wrong guy again, but whatever.
Well, there weren't any pictures of Devram.
Oh yeah, I'm not even on any guy.
But he's so important. He gets sent by Abaddon to retrieve the heart of chaos at the center of the warp.
The heart of chaos at the
Yes.
center. So, first of all, let me unpack that sentence.
Yeah.
A, I didn't know
No need, let's
the
move on.
warp had a center.
Yeah.
And B, What is the Heart of Chaos?
I didn't look it up, surprisingly. I thought it was just going to be a side note. I think it's one of the artifacts that Abaddon has to collect. You know how he's collecting all these artifacts?
It's more like a metaphorical thing.
No, because it ends up being an actual thing. No one thinks he can do it, and then he does it.
This Devram guy gets the Heart of Chaos?
Yeah, with the help of a prophetess of some kind of chaos prophetess. But I don't know what the object, the Heart of Chaos itself actually is. I don't know if Mark will find it faster than me.
Well, now it's kind of just a race because I'm also looking for it.
Don't worry, guys. I'm looking at cats over here.
It's too late. Devram
Mark
Court.
loses.
All the time.
Wow. You know what's... I was just mentioning to Mark the other day, you know what's really stupid? Lexicanum and 40K Wikia's search engine.
It just doesn't work.
They are
They're
so
awful.
bad.
Yeah. You're better to Google it and then click on the Google link.
Yes. Yeah. You Google Heart of Chaos Lexicanum, you'll find it faster than
Then if you
find
look
it.
at within Lexicanum.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, he delivers the Heart of Chaos to Abaddon.
I see Heart of Blood.
And there may not be anything on it. It might be one of those like side addendum notes. And like one of the codex is like, oh, he did this great thing, but like it's on page 212.
Yeah. It's just like a
one
that
sentence
tiny
thing.
little
Yeah.
one-liner, and you're like, excuse me.
More, please.
Yes. Hello. Yes. Right
Yeah.
here. Thank you.
But this act is like deemed so important that the Imperium sends an execution force after him, which is crazy because an execution force, for
It's-
people who don't know,
All four?
there are more than 4 clades, but yeah, it's an assembly of multiple clades
Oh, okay.
to take out a target that's so dangerous that it warrants multiple assassins working together
Right.
to kill you. Like we're talking like killing Horus when Horus rebelled level of importance, and that's when they send like a clade is when like someone or an execution force when someone is so dangerous that they absolutely need this person killed. And Devram Corda, backhands an assassin way back in his Horus Heresy days, is not put down by this execution force. So it's pretty
So,
crazy.
yeah,
Like he's nuts.
He is constantly like besieged, kind of, or in the presence of these assassins.
I don't know if he's always been followed by them, but when he was going after the Heart of Chaos, like they deemed it such a priority that Abaddon not get the heart that they sent an execution force after him. Cool. So yeah.
So I found the Lexicanum page with Heart of Chaos.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
There is currently no text in this page.
Perfect.
You can search for this page title in other pages.
Yeah.
Will you?
I will.
The one guy I was talking about. Are you done with your characters?
Those are very cool, Christian.
Yeah.
They are very cool.
That's why I had to pick them
Porta,
both.
That was really cool. The World Eater guy who
Yeah.
uses the heavy bolter.
Laron.
That's very cool. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Share.
I had the guy's name that was in Horus's dream, but I've lost it again. So,
But
that's
it wasn't the Luke.
It was
guy.
not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was
Haster
Tra-
Janus.
Yes, Janus. That's his name.
Janice.
Yeah. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Takes drink, pours it out one for Haster.
Cool. Yeah, so that's some characters. We got a little bit more here. We're going to talk about their appearance, what they actually look like. When Abaddon took control of the Sons of Horus, he set about making a break with their previous history. He cast off the name of their Primarch, rechristening them as the Black Legion, so that they could move beyond the failures of the Horus heresy and repair their tarnished reputation. While he kept the image of the Eye of Horus as a sole reminder of their origins, he ordered his warriors to paint their armor black and strike all other symbols of their past allegiances. Their armor is now adorned with all manner of heretical symbols, the most common being the 8-pointed star. So yeah, they're all black, and then they have, just chaos symbols on them. Sometimes
Gets
on their
to the
shoulder
point.
pads.
It gets the point across. You know what you're dealing
If ever
with.
you didn't know.
Now, the one crazy thing that I read, and who knows how true this is. This one seems like one of those weird 40K
Ooh,
ones.
I
where-
also have something to share when you're done.
Oh, nice. So apparently, as a Chaos Space Marine, if you paint your armor black, it's very rare, and it's like either you're a part of the Black Legion now, or you've just like pissed off Abaddon. Like,
Oh, wow.
his color is black.
I love
You
that.
are a
It's the
part-
same as his name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're painting your armor black, you're part of what I'm doing here. And if not, I'm coming for you.
It's like biker gangs when you wear their
Ooh, the wrong patches,
Yeah.
the leather. Yeah.
it's like, and you didn't earn it. You're like, yeah, no, you're
I love
you're
that.
done.
Yeah, so who knows how far he actually takes that, but the fact that it's there, very nice, very nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's an entire section of the Black Legion
Dedicated
just
to hunting.
dedicated to hunting down
Posers.
those people.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
He can spare 3 Marines and 2 regiments of traitor guard. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is because we're wrapping up the episode itself. We still have more, so don't go away. But talk about the Black Legion itself is kind of wrapping up. So here's one thing I wanted to share.
Sure.
When the Black Legion first turned to chaos, and they are a huge fan of chaotic mutations and even demonic possession. But because they switched their allegiances from god to god so often and so fast, and like, let's say we're all worshiping Khorne right now, or we're trying to gain his favor for something.
Yeah.
Mark gets demon possessed by Khorne.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, great. Now you're a great demon hunter guy.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden Abaddon's like, all right, fuck Khorne, we're done with him. Now we're going to go worship Slanesh.
Yeah.
Well, the demon in Mark's body is like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Oh, no.
Which inevitably leaves Mark as a husk. An empty
I'm
shell.
already so empty inside.
Can't take any more.
Yeah, it effectively just, like, you might as well die, right? Like, they just remove you because you're useless now.
Yeah.
And then I get demon possessed by someone from Slanesh, and I grow all tentacly and stuff like that. And then they move on to Zeech, and I become the husk.
Yeah.
Right? And so they found that because they loved being demonically possessed, because it was such a blessing from the gods,
Yeah.
but they moved so often that it was, like, hurting them to do this. But apparently, the Black Legion sorcerers found a new way to be demonically possessed, to where if a demon decides to leave you or forces himself out of you, you're totally fine. And
That's
you're
great.
capable of continuing on as you were. So I don't know if this has spread to other traitor legions, or if kind of you're protected in the Black Legion if you're demonically possessed. Because normally you always hear about how that will just absolutely destroy you. I like that.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I hope that the thought is that they've kept it to themselves, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like their own secret for how we do it. And if you want to learn the secrets of surviving demonic possession, then you got to join our warband or whatever.
I'm sure that's what they do. I'm sure they're not telling people.
Yeah.
But that's sweet.
It's a very cool, like, kind of little tidbit that I learned from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, now they can just get possessed, and then they'll, like, leave that god's favor and try and earn another one, and the demon will leave, and the host will be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're fine.
quote unquote fine for being demonically possessed.
Brother Malgus bleeds out of all orifices now, but
Right, but at
he's
least
on the
fine,
he can
brother.
still hold a bolt pistol and chainsaw. So yeah, that was something cool that I saw this one.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Well, anything else about Black Legion?
No, I think we're ready to jump into Tales of the War.
Yeah, we haven't done this in a long time.
Good thing we hired somebody to do that intro music for us right now.
Yeah, that was big bucks.
was
We blew our entire
nice.
budget for the episode on that.
Worth it, though. What a segue.
no
So-
money left over, so you got me to come on the podcast. I see what episodes I'm on.
We have 3 different topics that we kind of want to discuss between ourselves. And I guess we'll just start.
Yeah.
The first one is, what would or could have happened if the Sons of Horus had not left the battlefield immediately following the death of their Primarch?
Yeah, like if they would have kept pushing, I think they would have taken Terra. Like with the Emperor gone, how are they going to do it?
What do you consider would be a bigger blow to morale? Horus dying, obliterated, sure.
Yeah.
Or the master of mankind, the emperor, the god savior of humanity, dealt a blow so bad that he's now interred on the throne. Like, Horus leaving was shitty for the Sons of Horus.
But no one else.
Exactly.
You got at least 4 other demon Primarchs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that were all right at Terra, ready to fucking go.
Yeah, now, and you were talking about how the Emperor had like a ward over the Imperial Palace and how demons couldn't get in.
Yeah, there's a scene where Angron is literally like trying to shove his way through, and it's just killing him to try and get through this.
That's sweet.
This barrier.
Yeah.
And like, what if the Emperor in that moment faltered for just a millisecond, and Angron could have just punched through that thing? Because Angron in the Imperial Palace, as Demon Angron, effectively means chaos wins.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, I mean, there's only 10,000 custodies or whatever around, but we don't care about them. But yeah, like, what do you think would have happened if the Sons of Horus hadn't immediately fled the battle?
There's another factor to consider is the loyalist legions that were on the way.
Pulling up old school Angron models.
If that model gets into your fortress, you're
done.
You're done.
He's hiding his imperial phallus with his hand. There were more support loyalist legions on the way to Terra, which is a factor that should be considered.
Sure.
But all they needed to do was finish the Emperor. That's
Right,
all.
and and then at that point, like, do the Dark Angels and Ultramarines just like, hey, the battle's lost, we're turning around and fortifying our own places,
Probably.
and then like more, so then like
Okay, I could see
40K would
that
actually
happen.
look like Ultramar and like Caliban and those places.
So sprinkled empires of humanity is kind of what you
fractured,
would see.
and then like you could have Chaos holding Terra as its base of power, and then like fight emanating outwards from there.
Sure, kind of trying to create a second even Eye of Terror out
and
from that.
like you got also
That's probably
they would
what
have the portal to the webway.
Yeah.
they wouldn't have had to because they went to the Eye of Terror as a retreat.
Yes,
right?
they were forced to the Eye of
Right,
Terror.
so it's not even like they chose that either. You got to consider. Maybe eventually they would have gotten there.
I do think a lot of what Chaos wanted was to spread chaos throughout the entire
and that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't have gone, oh, let's go centralized. It'd be like spread out. And
Right.
it would be chaos everywhere fighting off. Like it'd be like the inverse, where like the Imperium is kind of like the big guy, and then you have these like fractured chaos warbands fighting against that. It'd be the reverse, where like loyal fractured groups are fighting against this like chaos
struggling to
empire.
survive and to gain a foothold.
Yes.
And they have to fight for their resources
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, so it'd be like an inverse, which
That's cool.
would be cool.
Vulcan, at one point, I'm not sure when he does it. It might happen during the War of the Beast, maybe, but he modifies the Golden Throne that if the Emperor dies, Terror explodes.
I have heard that before.
I don't know when
like
he does
as a
that.
kill switch.
Yeah. I'm sure it happened during the Horus Heresy. Maybe it happened during the Beast. I don't think so, but I guess I could look it up. But anyway, so if the planet blew up when the Emperor dies, all the legions are dead.
So even if the Emperor is not on the throne and he was dead, he died, the Golden Throne would explode?
I would have to look into how and when.
How
like,
it works.
I'm not even totally sure, man. But
Well, you can go down two routes. One is if they like killed him before he was technically interred on it, maybe it wouldn't have exploded in that
So did you say
moment.
a turd on it or interred?
not that kind of throne. Not a porcelain one.
Yeah, I definitely I more agree with a lot of the other legions and their hatred towards the Black Legion and the Sons of Horus for giving up so easily. I agree. I think that was a little stupid and
It
short-sighted
cost
of them.
them the war.
Yeah.
Like maybe you still would have lost. Maybe. But maybe you would have won. You know? So I think if I was to ever pick someone to blame for failing in the Horus Heresy, A, it's Horus for being a stupid little bitch. And then B, it's the Sons of Horus for abandoning the battle with what I would consider way too early. Like if you weren't willing to lose everything to fight this, why are you there? Yeah. You know, you've already abandoned all your brothers. You've forsaken your oaths
Yeah, like
to the
it's either
Imperium.
victory or destruction.
Exactly.
There's no other
yeah,
option.
why would you run at that point? You know, what are you afraid of? What are you running from?
One thing we didn't mention too in the podcast that should be noted at least is there are still Horus-orientated warbands too.
Like ones that
Oh, yeah.
Still remember and venerate.
Oathbreakers, I think, are a good example of it.
Yeah, let's still hold Horus in esteem and venerate him.
Right. It's mainly Abaddon that
Who
has
rejects?
Yes. Of course.
Just as a side note there,
I
while
di-
we're talking about blame games.
I think that for the sake of the game and the setting itself, like the move makes complete sense. You know, you've cut off the head, and all of a sudden they panic and they freak out and they leave.
Yeah.
It makes sense because it was needed for the setting of the game.
Well, every time a Primarch dies, it's not like there's not a precedence. Like every time a Primarch dies, their Legion breaks. Like it's such a devastating blow. When the Blood Angels also lose Sanguinius, like it's such a shockwave. It's a psychic shockwave that hurts them to this day. When the Iron Hands lose
Ferrus
Manus. How did I forget his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they get broken almost immediately, right? You have a segment of them that like fight harder, but like for the most part, it's done. The fight is over. When the Salamanders think that Vulcan gets killed the first time, they also break. Like it's such a traumatic shock, like a psychic shock for Legion.
Well, it's not always a psychic shock.
No, but like I mean, just in the general psyche, like it shatters their identity, their everything.
It's a blow to morale.
Yeah,
that
like
is
so devastating.
On such a different level.
Yeah,
It's like if
like
you kill
we
an
can't
ethereal,
even understand.
Well,
no one understands
If you
that.
kill an ethereal, then they can just shake off whatever mind control effects the ethereal had on them.
And they realize how screwed they are.
So I guess in that sense, I do understand their kind of poor
Response.
decision.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would have rather seen someone been like, no, like we're in it to win it.
I'm sure there are pockets that probably did that, but just not enough, obviously, to keep the war effort together, right? Like, that's the thing about fear is like once it starts to manifest, exactly. Like, great.
It's insidious.
Yes. And like one flank will break, and then the one beside you will break, and then like maybe you'll break because
It's a
now
domino
everyone else is
effect.
running. Yeah. And like, okay, sure, you can stand your ground, but you're going to die. So better run, right?
I guess that's true. I understand how everything folded, definitely, after the Sons of Horus left. I wish that they had been more committed to their goal, because their goal shouldn't have been like Horus as emperor, Horus as god. Their goal should have been destruction of the Imperium, and it shouldn't have mattered who died. It shouldn't have mattered who you sacrificed to see the end of
even
this
our leaders
goal.
can die as long as we complete the objective.
What matters is the death of the Imperium.
So I was able to find Vulcan, and when he did it, it was during the Horus heresy. It was straight after the War of the Webway that he
Install the kill switch.
Yeah. So literally, if they would have pushed further, Terra would have exploded.
Even that point, though, totally fine.
Killing
Chaos
all
still
the
would have
legions, though?
won.
Like Chaos. Yeah, sure. But like, would there be much Chaos forces left at that point? Then Ultramarines come in and they can just
mop up whatever
mop up.
remnants.
Chaos
are
might have
left.
been over then at that point.
Well, not all of Chaos legions were there.
Yeah, like Night Lords are off
I don't
doing
think
their own
Mortarion
thing.
was there
Nope,
either.
Death Guard were there.
Yeah.
Was Mortarion there?
Personally, I think all 4 Demon Primarchs were there. Personally.
Okay. I haven't fully gone through the Siege of Terra yet.
Well, good. They haven't finished writing it.
Oh, great. I think book 5 or something is out now. Maybe only book 4. I don't know. I stopped caring after
It's
reading number 2. And
30
realizing-
books too many.
after reading book 2 and being like, well, that was a stupid waste of my time. So I will eventually, of course, read them all. But yeah. Okay, well, yeah, if all of a sudden also the demon Primarchs were taken out, maybe the galaxy would have evened out into the same kind of balance we have today.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Right?
maybe it would have
Stalemate?
just stalemated right off the bat.
Yeah.
Sure.
But with the Emperor dead and with the 4 demon Primarchs, that threat not hanging over them, of the Imperium, of them coming into reality. And,
Yeah.
Because they have, people think that they're kind of just being in the warp doing their own thing, but they have been active for the past 10,000 years.
Sure.
Especially Angron has had a couple of his crusades out. So, okay. The next question. Does anyone have anything else they want to add? What would
No.
have happened if the Sons of Horus had stayed?
Death.
Death.
Exploded planet.
What would the immediate consequences have been if Horus had won? So how would the next, let's say, 500 years
Yeah.
in the galaxy have been if Horus had killed the Emperor?
Like, do you think the other Primarchs would remain loyal to him for that long? Like
the
at
Infighting.
what-
Primarchs?
Yeah, at what point do they say...
Infighting.
infighting.
Yeah, chaos is chaos. Right?
Chaos is
chaos. What's gonna chaos?
I think I can agree with that. Like, even when they go into the warp, it says they're all now consumed with the great game.
Yeah.
Would that have changed? Like, the immaterium would now just reflect what the materium is. And so everything in reality is going to turn into this great game of chaos bands fighting for their own power and authority on these real planets.
Yeah. I guess we're not the only people to ask these questions, as the Cabal also asked these very similar questions.
Oh, yeah.
And then they...
Well, they
then they got the Alpha Legion and their Primarch, Alfarius, to turn to Chaos, to try to push Chaos into that point where Horus does win.
Right.
So then, I forget how they describe it, but it's like, you can have 100,000 years of war, or you can have this one war, Horus wins, and then infighting happens, and in 500 years, everything will kind of...
Right.
It's like
They
burning
chose-
super bright, super quick.
They chose
and then
what they
gassing
considered
out.
the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. So they tried to do that. They seduced some to their side. So, yeah.
So what do we think? Would any of the loyalist Primarchs then have
Yeah.
been seduced to chaos?
I don't think so, man. I think, like, once you make that choice, you've made that choice. Like, not saying that they can't fall to chaos now, but I think none of the brothers would like that.
Yeah, I
Like,
think they would die fighting.
yeah.
I think a lot of the Space Marine legions and their leaders would definitely disappear in those 500 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of their MO is based on like crusading and trying to right their wrongs through these things. So if your wrong is the fact that you let the Emperor be killed, Rogaldorn,
Oh, no.
then maybe you would take it upon yourself to crusade into the most dangerous pockets of chaos-controlled space. You take all your sons there. You all
Yeah.
die. It's glorious. You quote-unquote redeem yourself, but you don't because you're dead.
Well.
So I think I agree that I don't think any of them would turn to chaos.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them would die very fast.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Christian? Any other inputs on what would be the immediate effects if Horus had won?
No, I think that pretty much is an accurate
Okay.
assessment.
And then we just have one more dog popping in and out of the studio. Hey, Pop.
We got a Nova dog.
Nova.
That's crazy.
So, okay, the last one we're going to talk about is what would 40K look like if Horus had won? And let's assume that he is still alive at this point.
Okay. Yeah, lockdowns, I guess, man. I don't know. Not good.
Would it just be like chaos controlled planets everywhere? You just have your pockets of this is controlled by Nurgle people and everyone. It's really just would become the great game covering the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, what would Tyranids do? Like, would chaos band together in their attempt to fight Tyranids? Obviously, the Eldar are destroyed at that point. Like, there's no such thing as a Tau.
Oh, no.
There's no such thing as orcs.
What?
I mean, come on. Chaos is like, if they had a foothold in the materium, I can't see much lasting beyond that.
Orcs would thrive on that. What are you talking
They
about?
love
fight.
I think
The way you beat orcs is by befriending them.
I think that as more chaos would spill into
Eventually,
reality,
yeah.
it would choke off what the orcs would need to survive.
The entire galaxy would just become the Eye of Terror.
Right. Eventually, I think that
Expand,
would
and
be the
then it'd
thing.
just be like and then they'd conquer other galaxies.
Like, imagine if Abaddon had his plan of like ripping the galaxy in half. If he was unopposed, or if Horus was unopposed in his attempt to bring chaos into the materium, it wouldn't be just a rip. It would cover everything.
it would be a tear.
And then you would have rip and tear.
Blood for the blood god.
Yeah. But I definitely think like chaos would just cover everything.
I wonder if, like, Horus would somehow be able to pull out of chaos. Like, maybe he goes back to being a good Horus. Not a good Horus, but, like, the original idea was, like, they wanted to be the rulers, you know?
I'm willing to expand on this. What if he gets to the point of where he looks over his kingdom, his
like,
entire
what have I
galaxy,
done? Yeah.
and he says,
And a
exactly,
single tear.
what have I done? Yeah,
Papa?
he has that Darth Vader moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. Picks up Abaddon, throws him into the war.
lightning. I would like to think something like that, but I don't know because. Correct me if I'm wrong. I only I stopped reading the Horus Heresy just like you.
Good call. It's too much.
I've heard that Horus at some point has been like possessed and like is not even Horus anymore.
So he's definitely not Horus anymore as
Yeah.
you know him, but that doesn't mean he's not.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. In the same way that I think that Darth Vader is like.
Somewhere in there.
Exactly. Like there's always a little bit left over.
There's always a silver lining, would you say?
Just look hard enough.
A little silver.
Yeah. When I was telling Mark about this the other day, how I really like how they describe Horus on his journey to Terra. So in his like throne room on the Vengeful Spirit, that's the name of his flagship.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they go into the throne room, it's like stepping into somewhere that is not in the throne room. Like Horus is in the middle of this thing, and there's galaxies and stars and like, you know, Thanos in Avengers when he's staring before him and it's like that spacescape in front of him. That is what I picture Horus's throne room looked like on the Vengeful Spirit. Yeah. Very similar to that. And when he's in that room, he's described as like bloated and disgusting, and like his skin is stretched and everything. Like he looks like a monster because he's just being fed these chaos energies that are just all trying to consume his body, and he's trying to, you know, reign as master over them.
Yeah.
But then as soon as he leaves that throne room, he looks normal like old Horus, but there's something wrong with his eyes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can see behind his eyes he's not entirely
They're the
human.
window to his soul.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like that look, but I still think he's Horus himself. I think a lot of it is just that he's gained something new. And
Right.
like it's inevitable when you learn something new, you aren't the same person as you were 5 minutes ago. Right? Like, and the more you learn and the more perspective that you gain, the more change that you're going to go through.
Would you say there's a little Horus in all of us?
I would say Horus would love to put a little bit of himself inside all of us. Spread his
Gene seed.
gene seed, of course. Yeah.
I'm in.
No, I do think it is Horus, but I do think he has changed. But I don't necessarily think it's a demonic possession. It's still him in there.
Yeah, like Horus isn't dead.
Exactly, yeah. Well, not until the Emperor killed him.
Oh.
But yes, in this 40K moment, like I think it would be cool if he was like, yeah, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then all of his chaos things just like shed off of his body. He has some weird birth awakening.
Grow some wings.
Exactly, yeah. Becomes an angel of light.
Yeah.
And becomes the manifestation of the greater good.
Not where I thought that was going. The greater good, you say. Interesting.
Eric went from lead writer for All Games Workshop Future Stories to one of the worst.
Yeah. They're like, this guy's really good with his. What was your other cool idea? Abaddon
Versus
Dante.
Dante, yeah.
And then they fired him after that.
Real quick. Mid-book even.
That's about how all my stuff
Yeah.
works.
The editor just took a peek and like, no.
It's not even mid-book. It's literally like mid-pitch.
Get out. Get out.
Eric, how do you keep getting in here?
I told you, I'm going to show up until you pay me. That's how I got my last job, but it's I'm going to get this one. Yeah. That would be such a cool thing to explore. Like, what would happen? Chaos wins, and then all of a sudden, Horus decides that he has made a terrible mistake.
Yeah. No, that would be sweet.
That could be a really cool thing to explore. In the same way that, you explore, like, the Dornian heresy or something.
Yeah, like an alternative
Yeah, exactly.
future.
Cool. Well, does anyone else have any thoughts on what it would look like if Horus had won? What 40K would be like?
Have you ever looked much into, what do they call 50K?
Age of Darkness or something?
Age of Darkness. Have you ever read any of that?
No.
I've heard it's good. I've never had the...
Pleasure.
So the idea of 50K is that 40K was lost?
Yeah, I believe
and
so.
everything is consumed by chaos?
I don't know. I haven't read it. I just know that it's 10,000 years into the future.
I think there's even like a 60K thing, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some... Yeah.
Some of that stuff is pretty neat.
It gets to the point where it gets just like, this isn't even...
A little too much
Unrecognizable.
speculation.
Yeah, like this isn't even 40K anymore. Like there's not even Space Marines now. Like,
Right, yeah.
But whatever.
I've never actually looked into it, but I think it could be worth it.
Yeah, that and the Dorian heresy.
Oh, Dornian heresy.
Lots of people have asked us to do that.
That's dear to my heart. Well, I think that about wraps us up.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. Before we say our goodbyes, though, obviously we want to thank all of our newest members of the Imperial Tithe.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Disticofoxid.
Yep.
Thanks to Cuba.
The whole
Alex.
country?
The whole country.
Nice.
Joshua. Thanks, Daddy Nurgle. Doc Raptor. Heavy Bastard. Justin. RDA28. Arza. Travis. Williams. Gwyn. Wolf 0219. Lord Fortnite. I wonder if you play the game. Russell. Juho. Fabian. Timothy. Jason Gamerza. Andrew. Sean. And Bryce.
Yeah, thank you all so much for donating.
Thanks for contributing to the show, guys.
Yeah, and if you don't feel guilty because you just listened to 2 hours of free content, guilty, give us money,
Right.
guilt.
If you are a new Patreon member, you should head over to our...
Pride, joy, love. That's what you should be feeling if you're a new
Yes,
Patreon member.
absolutely. You should be happy with yourself, but also you should be preparing your paints and your models for our contests that we run on our Discord,
yes.
just for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, Discord's fun.
it is. We're looking forward to seeing you at the events that we're going to start running from now on.
We
guys.
should say those dates again. So the one that I'm doing, I'm going to be watching Hell's Reach, and it's going to be on Wednesday, May 19th at 4 p.m. It's going to be sweet. So we have the Discord. Everyone will be in the channel. We can be muted, and then we'll watch half hour and we'll talk about it, and we'll kind of just do that till it's through.
Nice.
I'm really excited. I have not seen it yet.
Oh my god, I
I've
can't believe you haven't
incredible.
seen it.
I've seen the first 2 or 3 parts or whatever.
Oh, but you
know.
waited.
I waited.
I remember.
He wanted the whole thing to come out at once so he
Yeah.
could just enjoy it beginning
Yeah.
to end.
Exactly.
It's worth it, man.
Oh, yes.
There have definitely been times when I've been doing research or just writing things for 40K
Yeah.
or for Lorehammer, and I just put it on the background and just have his voice and the guns and the scream. And everything. Gets me in the mood. You
really
know?
can focus that.
And then I will be painting on Sunday, May 16th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So join me as I struggle to apply paint to small models. Really, the struggle will be to stay focused.
And not just talking to everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
It's an easy distraction, almost like it's intentional on your part.
I have no idea what you're talking
You
about.
son of a bitch.
Thank you to Christian for
Anytime
joining us
in the
for this
future
episode.
you'd like to have me, I'm more than open.
We'll think about it. We'll
Yeah,
consider it.
but I'm pretty sure this was your last episode.
Pretty sure it's going to be a no.
Yeah.
I'll pencil that in.
And thank you to you guys, listeners, for hanging out with us for these past couple hours. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Of Lorehammer!
That's where the rest of the budget went.
You think it's easy to come up with that kind of stuff?